Dungeons and Dragons launched. Interview with Gary Stern. David Fix leaves American Pinball.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Houston. I'm the editor of Pinball Magazine, and I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Martin Ebb, and I'm the editor of Pinball News. And Jonathan and I are here to look back at all the exciting events that took place in the pinball world during the month of January 2025.
Right, and well, we can say it was been a rather exciting month. We had a new game released. We talked to several key figures in the pinball industry. And there's lots of other news, so let's just dive in.
Yeah,
shall we?
Well, I'll start off with our first headline about as we previewed in last month's PINcast, Stern Pinball launched their Dungeons and Dragons: The Tyrant's iGame with it's premiered at the CES show in Las Vegas as we predicted it would be, and then about a week later, the European premiere took place at the EAG Expo show in London, where
which we both attended.
That's right, yeah. And we got a chance to play a Pro and a Premium model, which they had there on the Electrocoin stand. Electrocoin being the UK importers for Stern Pinball games.
Right.
Along with those two games, they also had a John Wick, Venom, and a Foo Fighters, so 5 machines in total. But obviously, a lot of the interest was on the Dungeons and Dragons game. That's the first time that anybody there, apart from the Stern team, had actually seen it, and certainly the first time they got a chance to play it.
Right.
We got to play it too.
Yeah.
What was your thought about the game?
Okay, so I'm trying to keep an open eye here, and let's assume that the game was running on software developed specifically for this show, with the intention of giving operators and distributors of pinball machines a look at the game and not make it too difficult for them to get a good feeling about the game, in the sense of being awarded a multi-ball without having to do hardly anything for it. Because in this game, on every game that I started, within 30 seconds, I think it's 3 shots to the target bank and then the right orbit, and it starts. It starts Dragon multi-ball with like an endless ball saver dumping 8 pinballs on the playfield, and they keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. It's a timed mode, and when it ends, all balls drains, score is totalized, and then your ball continues.
Yes, it was a bit weird, wasn't it? It's almost like one of those special gameplay modes where you just play the multi-ball and that's it. It was so simple to start, and it went on for so long.
Right. So personally, for me, the way I and I may be very old school, I guess, but back in my day, you had to put an effort in to get to multi-ball.
Yeah,
if it's that easy, it's completely devaluated. Everybody gets it, so there's no advantage for you, because the leveling playfield is completely even for everybody, because everybody gets the multi-ball. It takes away the fun for me.
Yeah, I really don't imagine the final game is going to be like that. This is obviously early code on it, and in fact, we saw that there were some issues with the premium model of the game.
Because, no, the Pro, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I actually saw it on both then. The balls were getting stuck under the head of the dragon, because the dragon couldn't move around.
I saw different issues.
Oh, okay. Well, on the premium, the head would go down onto the playfield and balls would get stuck behind it, and the game basically got stuck at that point because moving the dragon head was not part of the ball search. So the only way you could ever free the balls was to turn the game off and take the glass off. So that was a bit of a downer. But you saw other issues though.
Well, at the end of I arrived on the Wednesday late in the afternoon, and I noticed that one of the better tournament players in the UK, Greg Mott, was explaining to someone at the stand, either Electrocoin or Stern, that some sensors were not picking up or detecting the ball where it should, and as a result, the game would not continue.
Right.
And I got the feeling that they were still looking into that on Thursday morning when I briefly attended the show to see if they could fix that problem. And I'm sure they reported it back, and someone will have taken a look into that in the meantime. But, it's not a good sign at a show if people are... If players are noticing like this is not functioning correctly.
Yeah. Well, let's just hope that it's just early versions of the code or in those games, and
builds of the game as well. I mean,
yeah, potentially. Yeah, if the switches weren't registering, but it could be the software just wasn't picking them up, rather than the actual switches not switching. Because I think it was on a version 0.81 or 0.80.
Yeah, whatever.
So it was a long way from finished. Anyway,
if you play a game less than 2 weeks after launch, chances are it's very premature code.
Yes, yeah, especially these days. But anyway, it certainly attracted a lot of attention to the Stern lineup of machines on the Electrocoin stand. And Dungeons and Dragons, the limited edition of that game, is currently on the production line at Stern, which is a change for them, because in the past they put the limited editions right at the end. They did them after the pros and before the premiums.
Right.
And this time they are putting the limited editions up front, which must mean that the game is mechanically at least complete. So there's no more development of the limited editions to be done. If they're making them now. So so does that perhaps suggest that they think the title is aimed more at collectors than operators, because they're not... previously, they'd always said they want to get the game out on location first, so operators can make their money on it before it ends up in the hands of... the limited editions end up in the hands of the collectors. But that's not the case here. So... interesting change of strategy there, but nice to see the new title at the show anyway. And thanks for Stern for bringing over one of each model, and nice to get to play them.
Right, and well, Stern was as always represented with quite a delegation at the EAG Expo. Gary Stern was there, which is no surprise, I suppose. Seth Davis was also present. John Buscaglia, Chief Financial Officer at Stern. Doug Skor was there. European Marketing Manager Lloyd Dortin was present as well at times. So quite a heavy delegation. The only...
I was going to say, I was told in advance, sorry for interrupting, I was told in advance by Zach Sharp that he would be there at the show, but I didn't see him. I don't know.
I think Zach was going to CES and he would not be going to Europe, but oh well. What surprised me at the show, usually Electrocoin has the latest flyers for Stern pinballs as well, but not this time. In fact, the only flyer they had was for a Deadpool Pro, quite an old game, which wasn't even present in their booth. It was quite different, actually, at the Retro Arcade Specialist stand, which had a lot of flyers, which they printed themselves. So if you're a flyer collector, then, you could collect away, I would say.
Yes, well, to be fair, I was there earlier than you on the Wednesday, and there were some flyers around for games on the Electrocoin stand.
Oh.
So I guess they all got scooped up during the day and weren't replenished.
No!
Yeah, sorry about that. It's also worth mentioning that the ones that were on the Electrocoin stand were, I believe, the US letter size flyers, whereas the ones that Retro Arcade Specialist printed were A4.
Right. Yes.
So there were potentially already two different versions of those flyers around.
Right.
Certainly for Dungeons and Dragons, and I guess for all the other titles that they had on their stand as well.
Yeah. So anyway.
Right, so that's Dungeons and Dragons. We'll not say too much more about that at the moment because it's obviously fairly early on. But it's we hope if you are an avid fan of the title. I don't think Jonathan or I have much interest in the actual Dungeons and Dragons game.
Well, for me, it's like an original theme. I have no idea what it's about. Yeah,
same here. But you can kind of get the gist of it from the way the display is presented to you. Although, as I mentioned before, I'm not that keen on when it asks you to pick a character right at the very start, and you have no idea what any of that means unless you're quite experienced with the game and know what you're trying to achieve. It's just a basic, pick one at random, really. Pick one you like the name of. Yeah, that's how it was to me. Anyway,
it was less confusing than with Game of Thrones.
Yes, or Star Wars as well.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, if you're interested in finding out more about this Dungeons and Dragons pinball machine by Stern Pinball, there's an episode of the Stern Insiders Pinball podcast dedicated to the making of Dungeons and Dragons, featuring the design team, Brian Eddy, Dwight Sullivan, and music producer Jerry Thompson.
Yes, although you do need to be logged into your Insider Connected account in order to access it. Otherwise, it'll just take you to a login page, which even the links from Stern will do that. They don't take you directly to the relevant page, but it is quite detailed and pretty interesting as well. So they always make good videos of the making of their games. Speaking of which, there are actually two other new videos from Stern Pinball available on their website and on their YouTube channel as well, giving a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the Metallica remastered game and also the Uncanny X-Men title.
Right.
So lots of videos from Stern this month.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. So, and then if you hadn't noticed, there was this Stern Pinball Cup. Which was a sort of online tournament with different tasks that you had to complete.
Collect points and move up rankings and tiers and all that kind of stuff, and try different tracks every week.
Well, and how did that pan out?
Well, the people who were doing it seemed to enjoy it. I think, to me, as an outside observer, it kind of fizzled out. With after all the buzz about it, there was no social media information out there about what happened, who won anything, what they won, how they won, what the scores were. Maybe that's going to come at some point, but as far as I'm aware, it's all finished now. So it just kind of disappeared off the radar, which was a little bit disappointing. I was looking forward to seeing what it was like, and hoping it would stoke some interest in the next sort of similar thing that they set up. Right. But so if you won, or you know who did win, let us know, because we can't see anything, and it's not on their website, and there hasn't been any more social media posts about it since they announced they're into the final week, and that was a few weeks ago. So, okay.
Oh, well. And then we have a treat for you.
Oh, do we ever? It's the code, isn't it? It's the new code section. I know it is. Yes, that's right.
If you want to do the code first, and then I'll give the people a treat. Okay?
Oh! I thought that was the code. That was the treat. Okay. Well, all right. I'll just mention that there is a new Dungeons and Dragons code, although I doubt many people have actually got the game yet. But if you have, it has been on location. So there's a version 0.82 which came out on the 31st of January. Unfortunately, Stern didn't put any information on their website about what's in the update. And they haven't posted on social media about it either. So I don't know what the difference is. So I can't bring you that information. But I can tell you that Metallica Remastered also got new code, version 0.96. That was on the 13th of January, and that was quite a big update. It added this new concert experience setting where it basically shows you the videos of the band, and there's minimal information on the screen. It gets rid of all the status information, and it's just like scores, and that's about it. That's all you can see. And obviously, when you end the ball, you get a lot more information appear. But during the game, just the scores are on the screen. And they've also added many more spinner sound options. You might remember that there was a bit of a fuss made about the spinner sound that they decided to use in that game, and a lot of people complained about it. Well, now you can choose from 10 different spinner sounds. And they also changed quite a few of the rules as well, and added a new Super Pistons mode and fixed several bugs. So big update for Metallica Remastered if you got one of those. Okay, and that is the code for January.
I am a little confused now, hearing what you say. I mean, there is this video that we just discussed in which they discuss the making of Metallica Remastered. In that video, they clearly say, "Oh, we wanted to stay close to Lyman's code, and oh, it was so great and fantastic." And now we changed quite a few of the rules.
Well, we haven't changed that much. I mean, they've added a lot on top already, so it's more like the new features that they've added, which are being changed, and some sort of rebalancing of scores and things like that. So. The basic concept hasn't changed that much, so it's just the details. Okay, so I think that's fair.
Oh well. Anyway, back to the treat that I was promising you. Oh yeah.
Ooh, give me a treat.
Well, you were there already. We interviewed Gary Stern while he was visiting the UK for the EAG Expo in London, and Gary wasn't alone. But you'll figure out who he was with in this interview that we have right here for you right now.
Hi, guys.
Good to see you, Gary. Okay.
So welcome, Gary Stern. Another year, another EAG Expo.
Yes, along with Doug Skor, John Buscaglia. We're sitting here talking to you two.
Yeah,
and
just as last year.
For your time,
yeah,
it was obviously a very busy show for you.
We've been busy, and we have an event tonight, and we were just about to go back and have a quick power nap when you guys caught us. And
sorry to take that away from you.
No, we're not.
Anyway, so this year we decided to do it differently. What's cooking with Gary?
Okay, so you said earlier you wanted to know my secret recipe of cooking. Yes. All right. Single guy living downtown Chicago. I'm old single guy. No, I cook. But here's I'm writing a cookbook. Oh. It's called Nuke Cook. The microwave Nuke Cook for single guys. Cool. So what you do is you take a bowl. Okay? Yeah. You put 3 frozen chicken legs in it. John can't eat it because he's vegan. You put 3 frozen chicken legs in it. Put some seasoning. Put a plate on top of it, because once you put it in the microwave, if you don't put a plate on top of it, it'll explode, and then you got to clean everything. So you put that in it. 12 minutes on high. After 12 minutes, it is cooked through. It is seasoned. It's got the fat's down in the bottom. It's sort of like Jewish chicken in the pot. Yeah. Now, if you want to get fancy, what you do is before you put it in the microwave, 3 chicken legs, seasoning, a little wine. Now, I suggest white instead of red, because the red will stain the bowl. It takes you a while to clean it. But you plate on the top, or else it's going to explode when you hit 12 minutes.
Do you marinate it in the wine first, or just when you cook
pour it in there? No, it's cooking in the microwave. Right. It's going to bubble and everything. Right, okay. And so when you get done with this 12 minutes, it's sort of like poor man's coq au vin.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is John. John can cook. He used to cook before he became a vegan. He used to cook.
Well, he still cooks. He just cooks vegan.
Yeah, I still cook. Just I don't cook with all that chicken in it.
Well, the reason you do that, you do this microwave new cooking and everything is it's very fast, and it gives you time to go play pinball. I thought I'd try and no, you can play pinball. You can play pinball. 4 games for Gary. Yeah, thank you very much. You can play pinball. Well, actually, we'll come back to that. You can play pinball while it's cooking. Yeah. So you don't have to wait the 12 minutes. But if you figure 4 games for Gary, that's an average of 3 minutes a game. And the real average that we look for in street operation is
3 minutes a game.
3 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was very good. That's why I picked 12, so I could play 4 games. Is this serious enough?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Gary.
We're a little punchy here.
We look forward to seeing you probably at Pinball Expo. And,
Pinball Expo, yeah.
It's a long way away. Yeah. You have a lot of other shows to do between now and then.
Yeah, well, we have...
But this rounded up for Cooking with Gary.
Yes, well, we have...
For the main course.
There's so many things going on. There's actually you're going to tell us some things, but there's so many events. We have our commercial show, ASI in Las Vegas. Yeah. There's
you're going to
Pinball at the Beach.
You're doing Pinball at the Beach as well?
I'm doing Pinball at the Beach. I don't typically do Texas. I don't know if I will. All of this takes time away from me. I live in Vail, and it takes time away from my snowboarding. Yeah. I got here on Sunday, which meant I left Denver on Saturday. I got here on Monday, which means I left Denver on Sunday. Yeah. My, how time flies when you're having fun. And I did have fun that Sunday morning. I went snowboarding before I got on the plane. So there you go.
Not everybody can say that.
Yeah, we have to have some snow around here as well.
No, but snow around here is not fun. It's miserable.
It is.
So earlier, John Buscaglia was wondering how you get all this energy, but I think you should give John a snowboard.
I'm telling you, the man is...
No, I'm tired. You should watch me walking around. I walk around like an old man. I'm so tired. Yeah.
Shelley used to call him the Ever-Ready Bunny. Because I used to skip back from church shows. I'd say, Shelley, I don't get this guy. I can't keep up with him.
Where do you put the battery?
No, I'm not going to. No, that's not a good image. Not a good image. But this is supposed to be a serious pinball conversation, and we should all talk about that we have the Dungeons and Dragons here, which is a super great title, and it has a dragon that is incredible.
So tell us about the process by which you ended up with doing Dungeons and Dragons.
I really can't. Not only because I'm trying to not give away any secrets, but
you must look at the market segments and say that we need a game that can appeal to this section.
Well, actually, what they looked at is the strength of the title is from I can remember when Gary Gygax in Madison, Wisconsin, started a board game 50 years ago or so, and I spoke to Gary at that time, it has just grown. It's it's $1 billion a year business. Now belongs to Hasbro. It was originally came out by TSR, the breadth of people who know this and have played it and so forth. I mean, I knew people when I was young. They kept playing it. Young people played it. It's a huge franchise. Books, movies. There was recently a full-length feature movie that
neither of us have watched.
Hugh Grant and a whole bunch of people in it, which were wasn't as monstery as this is, where you pick your character. It wasn't particularly monstery. But
it's about dragons, right? So it's about dragons, so
And dungeons.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, and as is the game.
how's that not monstery?
Well, okay, it wasn't. Well, some of the shorts some of the other stuff that you can watch that are really, it's a good movie that are really significantly animated. And,
Oh, you meant the movie? I guess.
Yeah, the movie. No, the movie. No, the game's got all the features of it, and the guys who designed it, Brian Eddy and Dwight Sullivan, are just geeked out on Dungeons and Dragons, so it's got plenty for the real Dungeons and Dragon people and plenty for me. Was that you or me? I just made an automatic payment.
Congratulations.
I'm really happy that they told me that. But there's been a lot of really important pinball machines that have been similarly themed, shall we say. There was an old Bally Dungeons and Dragons years and years ago.
Fury.
Black Knight, all the Black Knight series. George's Lord of the Rings.
Brian's Medieval Madness.
Medieval Madness, for sure, which was, guess who designed that? Brian Eddy.
Yeah.
This might be his finest work.
But tell us about the issue you have, because it seems to me that when I'm talking to people who are playing the game or look at the game, and they go, either I'm super into Dungeons and Dragons and it's an ideal, perfect theme for me, or I have no interest in Dungeons and Dragons whatsoever, and I'm not interested in the game. How do you square that circle of getting the people who are not interested in Dungeons and Dragons, or don't even know Dungeons and Dragons, to be interested in playing the pinball?
I haven't found quite as much of that as you're saying, but having played the game and not really being into Dungeons and Dragons, and having had 8 balls shot at me out of the mouth of a dragon, great spinning target, by the way, and it's just for a casual player like me. It's just, it's got in the dragon itself. It is probably the most, we're filing some patents on the dragon, the most, help me guys.
Trademarks.
No, it's a automatron, come on, what do you call it?
Animatronic.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, it is. It moves every way. It does everything, and so it's very, very cool. I wish they'd stop telling me that I paid my Xfinity bill.
That was my phone. I think I just received the payment.
Hang on. That's cute. I like that. That was good. I like that. Any event, listen, the game's fun. The game's just fun. Now, you guys who are deep into rules and everything, you can judge better than me. One of the things, that game's going to change constantly, because every week the dungeon area is renewed, will be renewed, and so it will change. You learn it one week, and
you have a lot of innovative features in the software for it. I mean, to me, I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons person. I know nothing about the game. Therefore, I'm one of those people who comes in and goes, I don't know what Dungeons and Dragons is. I don't know why I'm picking a character when I first start the game, and why I should pick any one character over another one. I'll pick the one with the silliest name. That's probably the one I'll go for.
Okay, that's perfect. That works.
It's a starting point.
That works.
Not everybody loved Iron Maiden, but everybody loved the game, right? I mean, you don't necessarily have to be the fourth leg, as Gary calls it, the affinity group, in order to watch this game.
But you might know some Iron Maiden music.
Think of this as a dragon game.
Yeah.
And therefore it's fun, because dragon games were fun. I just listed a whole bunch of them, which may or may not have any, what was Black Knight? Where did that, there was no movie that came from or game it came from.
We're still waiting for that movie to come out.
Are you really?
When you start franchising that.
Okay, right. You can and by the way, I'm going to franchise my chicken too. Okay, there we are.
Nuke Chicken.
Yeah, Nuke Chicken. That's the book. That's the book. I'll give you guys, send you some autographed first editions.
Getting back to D&D.
But people know. The knowledge of the title not the depth of the title, but just the title itself.
Yeah,
it's part of
with it.
It's
not how it works.
Yeah, and
it has recognition.
It has definite recognition.
For me, I just walked up to it as an original theme.
Yeah, and perfect. And that's what I was trying to say. You just said that much better than I did. I said, what's Black Knight? But right, it's an original theme if you don't know it. And it's a great theme.
Yeah, but you do need to appeal to the Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, here's an interesting point. Yeah. I always talk about 3 legs of the stool. John's going to laugh now. 3 legs of the stool.
Yeah,
we have.
Can we get the short version of that?
You are. Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah.
3 short legs.
Yeah. 3 short. Rec room buyers. Operators or people playing on the street. Rec room buyers and enthusiast collectors. The 4th leg that we rarely get is the title collector, not pinball collector, but the title collector, the person who's interested in black Beetles or interested
Elvira.
in Mustang or Elvira. That's true. And we rarely get that here. We're told that from our dealers that maybe 25% of the LEs were being purchased by Dungeons and Dragons enthusiasts. We've always tried we've tried for years, very little success. Maybe we stopped trying principally. We've always tried, John's done a lot of work in different areas to get that 4th leg, the person interested in the title, to buy the machine, to have it for home. Why is that so important? Yeah, we sell more games. Why is it so important? Because those people may become part of our pinball community. Instead of being just in their geeky community, maybe they'll be in our geeky community too. There is an overlap.
Right. The people who wouldn't otherwise buy a pinball.
Yes.
Right.
And they may
buy it because of the thing.
Yes, and then they may become. We see that first-time buyers. About our dealers tell us about 40% of the first-time buyers, maybe 50%, buy another pinball machine.
Because you can't just have one pinball machine; you need another one.
I think you need 7.
Well,
or more.
After you have 2, you need another one another one.
Yeah,
that's how.
I just put Uncanny X-Men in my apartment in Vail, and I have a 2-bedroom apartment, and so the 2nd bedroom, shall we call it, has what once was a bunk bed, but now is I guess a trundle. It's a twin-size bed with another one underneath, and then it's got a queen-size bed in there. So, you could snowboard or ski place, people can come stay in it. It had a dresser over here, which is now over there, so you can't open the closet because over here is the pinball machine.
And you should have seen that. For pinball enthusiasts.
Yeah, you should have seen these guys bringing it down 4 flights of narrow stairs to bring it down, because my apartment goes floor to floor to floor to floor.
Well, at least it's down rather than up.
Yeah, but it's going to be up one day. Because the guys who brought it down work for my friend Dan Sunday, which is Alpine Vending there, and one day he'll get a good price on it to operate it, right, and they'll have to take it out and bring the replacement in.
And now you understand why Gary needs a microwave to cook, because there's a pinball machine in the kitchen preventing him from using the stove.
Well, listen, a lot of people have a lot. I mean, I'm happy to say, I just have the game in the bedroom, but a lot of people have a lot of games in their house and fill up the whole house and maybe even the kitchen. Yeah, and we're
the garage and the basement.
Well, garages are in America is something that people often, especially in warmer climates, don't use for cars. They use it. My daughter's in L.A. and the garage is certainly a.
She okay?
Yes, she is okay. Thank you for asking. So far, so good. She's near LAX, near the airport, which is. Her work. She's works in the TV and film industry. She's a assistant director, and her work. God, she was halfway to work on one day, and they said they should have canceled it. Well, they finally did, so she had to turn around. But how are you going to get there? It seems real dangerous. Our friend Joe Kamenkow, who you guys all know from pinball.
Yeah.
He had an interest in a house in Malibu, and now he has an interest in a lot in Malibu. Yeah. A piece of ground is burned to the ground. Burned to the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he buy that property?
He what he did is he invested. He bought an eighth interest in a house that a company keeps up and different people get to use. His son used to go there a lot for holidays. So any event, it's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone.
Terrible.
Terrible. So.
Well, what's much more terrible is I mean, it's gone for him. He doesn't really need to live there. He doesn't have it. The people who actually live in places, Erin, my daughter, she had some friends that moved. Had a what do you call it when you have to leave?
Evacuation order?
Evacuated. She went. They took their van and car and SUV to the YMCA, where there was lots of stuff piled up to give away to people who need stuff. Yeah. So they were going to help transport it. And as it turned out, Erin stayed and helped organize. And she came back the next day and they gave her an orange shirt because leaders had to wear orange shirts. She said, I'm not a leader. Oh, yes, you are. So she was there for a couple of days organized. She did the same thing in Katrina. She was down in Katrina. Mm-hmm. So I was very proud of her doing that. It almost brought tears to me. So we ought to go back and talk about pinball and not about that a little bit, and then we're going to have to go because
we're keeping this short as always.
Yeah. It's a little late now.
So we're at EAG.
Yes.
That's the first European trade show of the year. Usually you meet with distributors, and if I'm not mistaken, you inform them about what's going to be happening the rest of the year from Stern Pinball.
We give them a lot of information. I'm not going to say what's happening all the rest of the year, but some of the things we talked about is that we wanted to re-emphasize the 1-year warranty that we have on our product. We always stood behind the games, but we thought we should emphasize it again, and so we've emphasized it a few times. We explained again that Seth did all of this. Seth's here. That's our president.
He was smart. He already left.
Well, he's here. And you won't be back here tomorrow. He's got you can't tell me a point. John has to leave tomorrow morning. Doug and I are working tomorrow. We have one meeting I know of, probably two because we want to redo David there. Somebody who's going to operate a lot of games. And another thing we explained about putting certain titles in the vault, which means that we're not going to make them we are not going to make them for sure for 2 years, and probably never again, because most of those titles will, the license will have expired, and it's going to be an awful big demand to go back and buy a license again. Sure. But we are committed that we won't make them for at least 2 years, if ever again. And I think that that's important to understand the value of the games that are out there. That the lack of any confusion, we made it clear because people didn't hear everything. If we say that, sometimes they don't. That we're putting something in the vault or it's last call.
Can I just ask you a question about that? Because one of the things, apart from the fact you're not going to be making it for at least two years, if ever, does that have a significant impact on current demand for that game? If you say, okay, we're not going to be making Deadpool for 2 years, is there suddenly a bit of a rush for people to buy Deadpool from distributors?
Maybe.
Are you feeling that? Are you getting that?
We just announced it. Maybe. On the other hand, some of them there aren't any to buy. It's quite. I can't tell you that there's stock of all these everywhere. Some of them they're not. I don't know, John. Did you?
It definitely increases the consumer demand, and they want to buy this before they go away. And like you said, some titles we have more of, some we have very few left that we've.
Or our dealers, may have some or not have them.
Yeah.
And there is some in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a your announcement of a vaulting of a title can actually be a positive effect in the short term.
And I think it also will solidify the value of that game in the secondary market, because do
you care about that?
Secondary market, absolutely, we care about it. Yeah,
keep an eye on what's happening, what is being offered on the secondhand market, and prices are.
John watches the costs in the secondhand market. We may do some some. More structuring of it if we can in some way. We're looking at the secondhand market because it's very important. It's just, whether it's a car or John's Harley Davidson motorcycle or my Harley Davidsons, the resale value of anything is important, and it's an important part for the operator of games. And it's an important part for the enthusiast and collector and homeowner, that we say, you're not going to lose a lot of money. I'm not going to tell you you're going to make money on every title. Now, I think it was a little artificial during COVID and the shortage. The prices, skyrocketed, and people who were just what do you call investors who buy and. Speculators, thank you. God, I need so much help. There's a reason I had to quit practicing law. I can't remember the words anymore. As they get older, it gets harder. You don't see the speculators like they were. We've also changed, gone to rational, justifiable reasons for the quantity of LEs we make. This one's 740 because it's started in 1974. And so, the number.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't market it as a 50th anniversary.
It's not exactly 50. It is 50. Exactly 50. Yeah, it is exactly 50. Okay. I don't know.
Missed opportunity.
Well, I'm not involved in all this, and these guys are involved in some, not in all either.
It's next month.
How many 50s can you have?
I don't know.
We just did we've done a couple 50s.
Okay, but so getting back to the Stern Pinball plans for 2025. How many cornerstone games can we expect?
The likelihood 3. Okay. 3, that's our plan for the year, is 3. Plans change, but I doubt it. It should be 3. Okay. We found that to be the best model, timing-wise, to do 3. One about this time of year, with the show and the year starting and so forth. One in mid-late spring, so that it can be
out there in the summer.
It can beat the summer, shall we say? Summer thing for operations. You want to. I'm going to use America as my model. You want to set games before, if you're lucky, before Memorial Day, which is the end of May. Certainly before July 4th. Nobody, operator wants to drag a game into a summer location in the middle of August. And likewise, shipping games here to Europe when certain countries, people are just gone in the summer. You don't want to. You like your games to get here in
time.
Yeah, May, June, mostly, and then fall is a time to restart again.
Right. Any Vaults edition games that we might be
maybe.
Maybe.
I'll give you the 3 cornerstones. I'm not going to give you anything else.
Well, you can always ask.
Asked,
but
as we say in law, asked and not answered. Not asked and answered.
Okay.
But,
Can I just ask you to have a little speculation at the moment about something which is going to be coming up and how it might impact on you? And that would be with the new president and talk about tariffs on...
oh my God, I'm getting more money.
Hello, Donald. We're just talking about
that is, that's certainly a good question.
I mean, what does that mean? You obviously consider this and look at ways of mitigating potential increases in cost that might happen.
Well,
not just for you, but for your distributors.
We have had increases in costs for the last 3 years where we have not changed our price.
Prices never go down, if anything, do they? The cost of things never go down.
No, the cost of things don't go down, and our costs have increased.
Yes.
And yet, whether it be through efficiencies or through us eating it, we've held our price. I can't say how much longer we can do that, but we've held our price steady for about 3 years now for the Pro Premium and LE. As to tariffs that might affect things coming to us, who knows? We really just don't know. To tariffs, similarly, that would affect things leaving us, going to the export markets. We're watching it. We're watching it like any other business. You hear about it on the news.
Or just waiting to see what happens at the moment?
We don't. I can't tell you that we have a plan yet. I will tell you a story, though, and then we really should go pretty soon. But years ago, the euro came out at $1.17 when it originally started. 20 years ago, and it's fluctuated. Right now, it's about $1.02, $1.04 for the euro. English pound is, better, but England created some of its own problems. There was one point where the euro came down to 86 cents. And that was about 25 years ago or so, 20 years ago. And the Wall Street Journal was interviewing small businessmen like I was, and the pinball company was smaller then. And so I'm interviewed by the Wall Street Journal and what our plans might be, and we were looking into maybe building games in Europe or partially building them, sending kits, and building them within the EU or maybe an Eastern Bloc in those days. But I then responded to the interviewer. I said, but I'm told that the dollar and the euro may go back to parity, 1 for 1. But the article finished with quoting me, but if I knew what the dollar was going to do, I wouldn't be making pinball machines. We don't, we're watching like every other businessman, and we'll see. How much is posturing and how much is real.
Perhaps we could end then with just your view, and maybe John's as well, and even and Doug too, about the current state of the pinball market globally. Because you all know what's going on with the market, how what the demand is like, what the resale market is like, what the battles are for licenses, that kind of thing. Is it tough to be in the pinball business now, or is it actually quite a good place to be?
I will answer that with a yes and a no. Yes, it's tough. It's always been tough. Mm-hmm. The water's cold. Jump right in. Look at other companies trying to make pinball. And we've been able to grow, unlike anybody else has, through good games, good designs, smart management, and so forth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough. And yes, it's a good place to be because I love it. I love this business.
You have a very positive outlook on the future of pinball.
I do, and John will tell you that, the market's a little tougher. There's inventory in the field. It's a little more difficult in that respect. There's opportunities for buyers that may not have existed before. There's games to buy that won't be overbuilt that we know, like we've vaulted these games. So, so yes, we've taken some actions to control and influence the market, like our warranty, like our vaulting games, and like our listening to the market and not necessarily making 1,000 of every LE. And in fact, we recently started making the LEs first. Actually, I don't know how you guys all feel about that. That would be more interesting than how I feel about that.
I think it makes sense. But
Yeah, I think the LE buyers deserve that.
Yeah.
Personally, they're paying a premium for it. They should get some special treatment.
Interesting. So the market, John, you want to add anything?
When I was hired by Gary and the team, the reason I took this job, as much as I love Gary, is because of George Gomez. I mean, the guy is brilliant. He's built an amazing team.
Yep.
And I knew that I could sell his products and his vision. It just was an amazing product. And honestly, it's been easy. And I used to work for Tops, which is a great product, but nothing like what we put out. And the games just keep getting better and better and better and better. I mean, when you actually do look at the Dungeons and Dragons and play, it's just phenomenal. It's shooting 8 fire pinballs out at you, and the architecture on it's spectacular. We just surpassed 1,000 Stern Army members. We've just surpassed thousands of launch parties all over the world. We're growing our Insider Connected Pro operators at a rate that we've never seen before. We're partnering with the AMOA and Bob Burnham, the president, who's a great friend of ours and a great supporter of Stern. And the amount of operators that are now operating pinball within the traditional community is not just growing, that it's growing rapidly, but what we're also seeing is we're incentivizing our pinball enthusiasts to become operators, which they have. And the one thing, when I was at Tops, people would absolutely say, I'm getting out of the hobby. I'm done. I didn't, this case of cards didn't have in it what I want. I'm not spending any money on it, because it wasn't about the fun aspect of building the community and playing the game and all the camaraderie. It was really just the gambling play where, you're hoping to get that big hit card. That wears off pretty quickly. But I've never, ever, ever once heard somebody say to me, man, I'm done with pinball. It's boring. I don't want to play it. I'm out of here. I'm out of the community. I've never seen a person leave the community. So all the things that Gary has invested in, all the things that we've done as a team to build out this community, it just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Consumer patterns are changing, and they'll always change based upon the economy, based upon wars, based on fires, whatever. People can become nervous at times, and they can become, very aggressive in their purchasing patterns at times. And right now, we are definitely in a little bit of a conservative period. But the one thing I can say is that when you look at pinball as a whole, as a community, it's bigger than it's ever been, and it's continuing to grow rapidly, which is why you guys are still so passionate about what you do. You have not, since I met you, Jonathan, 13 years ago, lost 1 ounce of your passion. And that's what makes this community special. Honestly, it's just amazing. So I'm encouraged.
In one thing on this line that I want to leave you all with, community has grown, and we need to help it grow more. Certainly, you talk about games in the market and so forth, and the bigger the community, the more trading, the more, room, so forth. When your friends come play pinball, they see pinball, now they understand, the pinball, this pinball still exists? Yes, it does still exist. Maybe they want to buy a pinball, but, making a big investment, like in a pinball machine, can be scary, and they don't know where to go, or they don't know what to do, or who's going to take care of the game. They need a Sherpa, somebody to help them, somebody to lead them through. And what enthusiasts can do to grow the market is, when their friends are interested, help them, guide them, tell them where they can go buy it, not to worry about it. Here's how you can get it serviced, or I'll take care of it, or I'll help you service it, or this or that. this is a big expenditure, and you take the fear out, and then we can grow the market. So you need to be Sherpas.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And with that, we should go to our next thing. Thank you all very much.
Drop the mic.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Gary. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate y'all.
Well, thank you very much to Gary, Doug, and John for taking time out from their busy schedule at the EAG show to sit down with us and give us their take on the state of pinball at the moment and Stern Pinball in particular.
Yeah, it will be a lot more difficult, I guess, next year to get them for an interview, because every year we take away their nap time at the end of the day before they go to their dinner appointments.
Well, and also Gary, you have to come up with some new recipes for us.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Oh, we got a scoop here.
Yeah, every year. Okay, Gary's latest recipe. Okay.
What's cooking with Gary?
Oh, I like it.
To be continued.
Right. Well, let us continue then with our next company and our third headline, which was about what's been going on at American Pinball.
Right.
And not to put too fine a point on it, David Fix has left his position there as executive vice president.
Well, not only Fix, quite a lot of people actually.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. In fact, by the time he left, there were not many people left at the company. Stephen Bowden, Ryan McQuaid, Sophia Ryan, Jack Hager, and others had all been laid off before Christmas. Although some we hear may have found employment in other companies, in which case,
Already?
good luck to them. Yes.
Yeah.
Although I suspect they probably have a non-compete clause for a while.
So that means holiday time.
Yeah, not the best time of year to be out and about.
If you like winter sports, I'm sure you can entertain yourself.
I'm sure. Yes. So that was. I'm not sure whether it was a total surprise, but I think the state of the company and the way that David left the company did come as a surprise, and we will explore more of that a little bit later in the PINcast, because as we said in our headline, we are going to be talking to David.
Well, we didn't say that in our headline, but we're telling you now. We have David Fix exclusive. Ooh. And he's not, as you know, David. There's basically no stopping the man. So you're looking at 1 hour and 16 minutes of David Fix explaining what went on at American Pinball, resulting in his contract not being renewed, whether that was his choice or not his choice, but he will discuss everything about that.
Yeah, not to preempt what he has to say too much, but it gives us a lot of the sort of behind the scenes information about the way the company has been run ever since it started, pretty much, and where the company, where the people running the company now are hoping to take it. So. There's a lot of interesting historical information as well. So we'll come back to that later on in this PINcast. And as you said, it's a detailed interview,
in depth.
With a lot of things to cover. So we're going to do that towards the end rather than put it in here. Because we need to recover.
And we need to recover from Gary and his recipes.
Well, yes, that's right. I want my nuke chicken. Yes, or at least I would do if I had chicken. But anyway, one of the things that hasn't happened at American Pinball yet is the announcement of Game 7.
Okay. Rumored to be Cuphead.
Yeah. Software for this game is still being developed, but it's apparently otherwise complete and ready to go. But the company has been advertising for production line, final testing and support service staff, along with an electrical engineer position. But whether that's happening or not is a bit unclear from our perspective and from what we know about what's going on at American Pinball.
Right.
So we're not expecting Game 7 to go into production or even to be released anytime in the immediate future. But, you never quite know, do you, with that company, or exactly when they're going to do things.
They have contracts too to respect with licensors and so on. So
they do indeed.
But then again, but they also need the people to build the game.
Yes, that's right. Yes, you're quite right. Which at the moment as of recently, they didn't have those people, and whether they've actually managed to take on some, we don't know. But it is understood that, as you will hear from David, that Aimtron are looking towards contract manufacturing other companies' designs rather than creating their own. So this could be the final game that American Pinball develop by themselves, I should say. Right. They do have a series of potential designs that they could develop if they chose, but they don't have any design staff or mechanical engineers or anybody else left at the company to make the games.
No R&D at all.
No. So it's a real shame because we know there are some good titles there and some good designs from from talented designers, and we'd like to see them. So hopefully they don't get lost. However, bless you. In the meantime, American Pinball have told their distributors that they're doing a small run of 100 Galactic Tank Force Classic Edition games. Now, the Classic Edition is a new base level, which is apparently missing quite a few features from the upper models, but not features which impact on gameplay. That was the original intention. So there were no arc blades on the game, no aura back box lighting, no shaker motor, knocker, or magic glass on the game, and the robot mechanism, which moves up and down the spaceship, will be shown on the screen, not on the play field. But apparently, there's also been according to what distributors have been told, the swinging UFO stand-up target has now been made into a stationary target. So that is that's something that impacts on the gameplay slightly. And this new low end model is supposed to be priced at $7,995 which is quite a bit below their standard price for the deluxe edition. But kits will be available to upgrade the game. I put most of those things I just mentioned back in it for around about $1,000. That's the intention. Of course, they have to have the staff there to build the games and to quality control them, and order the parts and do the quality testing and the goods receiving stuff for all that as well, and of course ship the games as well. Right now they don't even have the staff to put the kits together. No. So although that's being told to distributors that there'll be 100 games made, there's no clear indication that they have the capability of doing that at the moment. Mm-hmm. But,
Oh, well. And then there's a rumor about a new Galactic Tank Force code coming from ex-employees. Actually, David Fix is going to address that as well. That software update will fix a bunch of bugs and add a Scorbit integration as well.
Yeah, this is quite significant, I thought, putting a Scorbit into an American Pinball game for the first time. And unfortunately, it could also be the last time. Yeah. Which would unless people go back and rewrite older games code to retrofit it. But I think that's quite unlikely. But you never know. If there's enough dedication, or maybe even there's some funding. If they do like a GoFundMe to get to pay software developers to add it in, it could happen. Right. But, let's see what happens with Galactic Tank Force code first.
Right. So, anyway, Lots more about American pinball will be addressed by David Fix at the end of this this show. The interview is 1 hour and 60 minutes long, so if you rewind to the end and then skip back 1 hour and 60 minutes, you're right at the start of it.
Right. Well, of course, you want to listen to all the other news that we've got from the rest of the pinball companies first, I'm sure. So,
yes.
So let's get on and do exactly that and move on to our next company,
which is Jersey Jack Pinball
hey.
in Elk Grove Village, Chicago area still. Currently on the line and shipping to U.S. buyers is Avatar, The Battle for Pandora, the Collector's Edition.
Yes, it's the top end model. Yes, is being shipped and been manufactured and shipped right now. So good news if you were one of the lucky buyers to get those. As I understand it, there's still some collector's editions available with distributors if you missed out and fancy getting one now. Right.
So, well, I have a feeling this could be another sleeper game. In a sense, like, with Elton John, and the themes are completely opposite, I would almost say. But Elton John, everybody at first was like, and then they played it and they were like, whoa!
Yeah, I think it was the theme which put a lot of people off the Elton John, and if you're not a fan of the music, then you tend to almost dismiss the game out of hand. But as you say, once people play it, their minds are changed completely. And I certainly enjoyed playing Avatar. The few games that I had on it. Yeah, there's plenty to see. What I didn't get to really experience was the UV lighting effects, but that's just because of the ambient light that was in the area where I was playing it. So I'd like to see more of that.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so just as we were about to record this episode, the Jersey Jack Pinball announced a $2,001 off Toy Story 4 limited edition, bringing it down from $12,000 to just $9,999. And that also includes a free bonus flat plastic illuminated topper.
Yeah, they've run a number of price promotions over the past months, including round about Thanksgiving, and I don't think they did one at Black Friday or not, but I think there was a holiday one, was there? Okay.
Yeah. Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, and even the Elton John, I think, had 1,000 off one of the standard, the limited edition model, as well at one point, but. Yes, Toy Story 4, if you were thinking of getting one of those, now's a good time. Brings it down just below 10,000, and you get the free topper with it. So not a bad deal.
Yeah, so, and then, of course, there's new code. Martin, tell me all about it.
Well, we're just talking about Avatar, and I'm pleased to say that version 1.0 is now available for Avatar. That's right. Everything that's going to go in the game should be in this code. And it adds the ICU Final Wizard mode, as well as adding a bunch of different presets for various difficulty levels, lots of display, sound and lamp effects, a few bug fixes for the rules, scoring. There was an issue with the trap mode lighting as well on some machines. That should be fixed in version 1.0, available from the 16th of January. So you've probably got it already by now if you're lucky enough to own an Avatar machine. So from now on, it'll be enhancements and bug fixes, so rather than adding any major new rules, I think. So, right. Yeah, well done to Jersey Jack. That's pretty early, I guess, in the pinball world these days to get the fully featured code out on a new title.
Right.
In what 3 months, I suppose.
Yeah, it's pretty quick indeed. So, and speaking of quick, rumor on the street is we might actually see a new Jersey Jack Pinball title already in a few months, hopefully debuting at the Texas Pinball Festival.
That'll be interesting. I wonder which one that's going to be. Not which Texas Pinball Festival, which title. And they've certainly been teasing one particular title, but they've been teasing that for over a year. So,
right. So
may or may not be already.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's supposedly to be a Eric Meunier game. We hope they can pull it off. I'm
sure they can.
Yeah, so
right.
Let's just wait and see. And that rounds it up for George and Jack.
Okay, let's move on to our next company, and let's do Pedretti Gaming, or Pedretti Pinball, if you like, who are based in Italy.
I was just there. Well, Italy, that is, not so much at Pedretti, sorry. I was nearby, but not close enough.
Oh, I thought you were going to give us the inside scoop. Okay. Well, let me tell everybody what's been going on there, because just now we were talking about rumours and expectations that American Pinball were going to be adding Scorbit integration into Galactic Tank Force in a new upcoming code release. Well, guess what? Pedretti are too. Yes, they are integrating Scorbit into their Funhouse remake title.
Oh, I thought they were integrating it in Galactic Tank Force 2.
There's a Galactic Tank Force 2? Oh, my God. They just brought out the first. Oh, anyway, no. Funhouse remake will be getting Scorbit. It will be free to use, as most built-in Scorbit integrations are. And it will require a new software update, which was supposed to be out by the end of January, according to Pedretti, but hasn't, at the time of recording, been released just yet. But hopefully should be out very, very soon. So if you are one of those lucky people who have a Funhouse remake, you will you'll get Scorbit integration added for free. So very nice feature to have, and that will record all your scores and achievements, and you'll be able to access all that information online, and with whatever other features the Scorbit team are going to be adding in the future. And I would hazard a guess and say that any future remakes that Pedretti Gaming are going to be making will also feature Scorbit integration.
Ooh. Okay, well, that's good to know. So, in the meantime, at Pedretti, they have been building Funhouse remakes and shipping them to the US. It's going to be interesting times to see what happens with importing duties and what have you being announced and negotiated
yes, we'll get into that a little bit later when we move on to more general stuff. But yes, as you say, timely move to get a whole bunch of a whole container full of Funhouse remakes sent over to the US just in case. Also, there was a post on Facebook by game artist on Funhouse remake, Brian Allen, showing how he gave his father a Funhouse remake machine for a Christmas present. So a very, very generous gesture there from Brian.
He probably had no more room in his own house for something like that.
Well, apparently his father was the one who got Brian interested in pinball in the first place, so it only seemed fitting that that Brian's first full game design could be enjoyed by his father. So congratulations to Mr. Allen Sr.
Right. Okay. So, and that rounds it up for Pedretti Pinball, but we also have Pinball Brothers closely collaborating with Pedretti Pinball. No hardware news from them, but there is a code update for Queen.
Well, it's only a very minor one. Last month they brought out version 2.1F, which did add a whole bunch of new things into the game, new rules and lighting effects. But unfortunately, it also introduced a potential game reset issue on certain machines. Well, this new update, which is version 2.1G, which came out on the 23rd, hopefully fixes that problem, and that's all it does. There are no other additions to the game. So if you haven't had these problems, then maybe you don't want to bother, but it's probably worth updating anyway to version 2.1 on the Queen game.
Well, I had none of these problems. I also don't have a Queen game.
Well, then you probably won't want to install the software.
Oh, well.
Okay. Well, while we're over in Europe, let's talk about a more local company to you and slightly more local to me, and that's Dutch Pinball and Dutch Pinball Exclusive, and what they've been doing, because we know that the Alice's Adventure in Wonderland game is going to be coming from Dutch Pinball Exclusive. Well, Renz, who's their social media guy, he shared a picture of on Pinside of the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland cabinet, showing how it will have some recessed areas where the inner cabinet artwork will go, the art blade things, and that because they're recessed, that will hopefully prevent any damage being caused to the artwork when you raise and lower the playfield, which has been a problem with other artwork that just sticks on the side of a normal cabinet. So obviously they've been thinking about how to address that and because they're making their cabinets direct specifically for the Alice's Adventure in Wonderland game, they can route these inset pieces into the inner sides and solve the problem. So nice job.
This just reminds me of Blackwater 100, Dennis Nordman game. That also has artwork on the inside of the cabinet, but they sold it in a completely different way. Basically, the playfield is inside a box of some sort with the decals on it, so that because Dennis was afraid that if you would open the playfield and slide it up and down, it would hurt the artwork.
Yes.
Very different solution to the same problem, but well done by Dutch Pinball, I would say. It's very easy to see where the decals are supposed to be going, and I'm sure it will work, because obviously the playfield is resting against the inside of the cabinet, and which is the decal is probably not as thick as the area cut out. So.
No, that's right. It will be slightly recessed. So, it shouldn't be a problem. But they have been sharing lots of pictures of the production of various parts for Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, including the playfields, the sculpts, and the cabinet artwork. Apparently, from the pictures, you can see the playfields have been digitally printed. Some people thought they were going to be silk screened, but apparently not. They are digitally printed, as is the cabinet artwork, of course, as well. So interesting information available there.
Right.
And there's one other slight item of news from Dutch Pinball non-exclusive. So,
Okay. Well, basically, on January 1st, the Facebook channel of Dutch Pinball shared a photo of Barry Huben, who is one of their assembly line workers, and not just any assembly line worker, but Barry has been in charge of the bowling alley mechanism, which goes below the playfield. Mm-hmm. He built most of them himself, and how fitting it is that he just finished the very last one for the current final production for The Big Lebowski. So technically, you could say the last game is currently being in production, if not finished already. And after that, it will be moving the production line to basically Alice's.
Yeah, and then whatever else whatever their next title is going to be, their next pure Dutch pinball title,
right?
Will be.
So now I have no news on that, but there is some news going around, and it was sort of confirmed to me that Dutch Pinball is looking and actively talking to pinball manufacturers in America to see whether they can source out manufacturing of an upcoming title in the US, possibly to avoid import tariffs and what have you, but also shipping costs and what have you. So now, a couple of months we already reported that Barry Dreesen was spotted visiting Stern Pinball, which is rather unusual, but I guess that in the light of this news, I guess that sort of makes sense. The question is whether Stern would be interested in building games for a competing company.
Well, and you would never say never, but I'd be very surprised if they did. Well, given that they did that once for Chicago Gaming.
Yeah, with Medieval Madness, and it turned out to be disastrous.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's with the production team just down on the other side of Chicago. Well, right. on the other side of the world, or 4,000 miles away.
Right. So
even harder.
In theory, the concept of this is well, I can understand that you would say, like, hey, can we source this out to another company? Well, Dutch Pinball already have plenty of experience with sourcing out and finding out how much difficult it is. I mean, I'm going to say it very boldly, I suppose. Sorry. A pinball machine is not an IKEA design. It's not like, here's the manual, this is how you put it together, and what can go wrong? Well, with the pinball machine, a lot can go wrong. So that's the difference between an IKEA cupboard and a pinball machine. You have to be on site to make sure everything goes right and that you don't run into any problems.
Yes, and you have to do a lot of testing as well. Even the finished product, even if it's been made according to all the instructions that you provided, we still end up with finding things which have been done wrong. And this takes us back to what the American pinball owners are proposing with contract manufacturing.
Well, so in theory, Barry could knock on their door, but then again, you can source out a project, but if you source it out to a company that has no staff to build them, then what's going to happen? Yeah,
absolutely. But they would need to have their operation up and running and have prove themselves capable of making games first before you want to entrust them with making machines going to customers.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Oh, well, anyway, so, but, well, it's an interesting note. So there's confirmation that Dutch Pinball is looking around to do that. Whether they actually will remains to be seen.
Yeah.
And, of course, if we hear anything about it, you'll hear it too.
Okay, so let's move back to the US and move up to Wisconsin and Spooky Pinball, who have been celebrating their 12th birthday.
Right. Congratulations.
Yes, that's right. Wow. I remember when Charlie announced his initial plans. Right. Well, it was 12 years ago.
So that means Jersey Jack Pinball celebrated their 15th.
Was it 15th? Okay.
Well, I think Jack started the company January 1st of 2000.
2000. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's right. He was announced. I think he announced it, didn't he, on Spooky? Well, on Charlie's podcast.
Exactly. Well, full circle.
Yes. Yeah.
So two companies with celebrations in order. Congrats to both.
Yeah. Happy birthday. And also, Spooky have started shipping now their latest title, which is Evil Dead. They plan to have 20 games shipped by the middle of the week we're in now, so probably around about now, by the time you're listening to this. And they are also sending 4 Evil Dead machines down to Florida for the very first Pinball at the Beach show, which takes place in about, less than a week's time now. Well,
next weekend.
Yeah, that's right. So if you want to have a chance to go and play Evil Dead, and there's none on location, and you're not haven't received one yet, then Pinball at the Beach is your place to go and enjoy it. Although I suspect there'll be a bit of a line down there.
Well, I expect it to be sold out because it's limited to 1,000 attendees only.
I don't think it is sold out at the moment. I was just looking earlier today. Certainly it didn't suggest that it was. I mean, accommodation, yes, because there aren't that many rooms, and they sold out a long time ago. But it would still allow you to buy tickets.
Okay.
For the whole weekend.
I had no idea. Now I need to book a plane ticket.
Right. Yes. That would certainly help with your enjoyment of the show. Otherwise, only other news I've got from Spooky at the moment is there's some more new code from them. This time, it's for Looney Tunes, which came out on the new code came out on the 10th of January, and added the new Duck Amuck Wizard mode, as well as some new secret combos, new attract mode music, and some additional checks to prevent some of the bugs which had been previously noted, and a whole bunch of extra bug fixes which people may not have noticed, but they hopefully won't now. So that was Looney Tunes, only Looney Tunes, not the companion title, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which came out at the same time. So different coding teams on those, and of course very different gameplay on those.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and last but not least, to close it off for Spooky Pinball, Kerry Hardy recorded a new factory tour video hosted by Bug Emery, who's currently running the show. So if you go on YouTube and you look up Kerry Hardy's channel, it's easy to find, and enjoy a little look inside the Spooky Pinball facility.
Yes, the all new Spooky Pinball facility, expanded one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so enjoy.
Okay, let's now move to Multimorphic down in Texas, and they have some news as well this month. They have started a new 2025 P3 customer referral program.
A what?
A customer, I'm not sure what they're referring to the customers as, but they're referring to them. No, it's good news because any registered P3 owner who refers a new buyer to Multimorphic that subsequently goes on to complete their purchase of a P3 with an installed game kit, that referrer will receive $1,000 in Multimorphic store credit, which they can use towards buying add-ons or new game kits or just software as well. Further, to help entice new buyers, they will also get a discount of $1,000 on the price of their machine, and an additional 10% off each further game kit that they purchase at the same time. So some good sale and bargains to be had there. So $1,000 for the person who refers the buyer, $1,000 off the price, and an extra 10% off extra modules and game kits for the buyer.
But what if I don't have any friends?
What do you mean, what if? Well,
I mean, if nobody can refer to me, and then I'm missing out all these bonuses.
Yes, and so's the buyer. So it's probably worth hooking up with somebody if you don't know who they are, if they're looking to buy a P3, because they will get 1,000 off, and you'll get 1,000. So it works for everyone.
Wow, I'm just gonna get so much referral because every 1,000. Oh man, I'm gonna make so much money.
Yeah, well, exactly. Your machine will pay for itself.
Exactly. If I have 8 friends referring to me,
apparently
it's free.
Apparently, you don't have to buy it directly from Multimorphic. They also offering this discount to buyers through their distributors as well. No end date is defined for this program, but they say it's subject to be terminated at any time with extreme prejudice.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 1 second before you get your referral.
Oh, that's just terminated. Yeah.
However, any in-process referral where you've already got the referral email will be honoured, even if they cut the program short. So if you are thinking of, or you know somebody who's thinking of buying a P3 with a game kit, then there's a time to do it. One of their great games, of course, is the Scott Danesi designed Final Resistance, and there is new code for that, which fixes not having the wave number on the high scores, adds new preemptive strike sound effects from Scott, adds a new high score table for Battle Waves 1, lots of gameplay options added. One thing that really interested me, I don't think I've ever seen this before on any of the software updates, it says there is better support for colorblind players. Now,
and you'd be surprised how many that are.
I know. I know. I'm surprised we've never seen this before. There's a lot of people who have red-green differentiation issues. So they can't see whether something is red or green, and obviously it's a bit of a problem with traffic lights. But that's why they're in the order that they are. This new software says that the ground control insert will flash twice as fast when it's green compared to when it's red. So if you can't tell the difference between them by colour, you can by the speed at which it flashes. So that seems like a really good idea, and I'd like to see that adopted by other companies as well. No extra support for people with those colourblind issues. But this version of the code also has new lighting effects for the speaker lights, lots of settings, controls for how the game plays, and a couple of bugs fixed. So, quite a big update for Final Resistance. This version 1.2.0.2 came out the 20th of January, and that's the new code update news from Multimorphic, and basically all the news from Multimorphic for this month.
Right. Okay. But let's stay in Texas a little bit and move down a little bit more south to Barrels of Fun, who are in Houston. They have a sort of alliance, I would say, with Pinball Armor, who were in business probably a decade ago, offering all sorts of products to prevent or to pack your pinball machine properly to prevent it from being damaged. And these Pinball Armor is now in stock at the Barrels of Fun store, which I believe is Collect Fun.
.com, with a K.
With a K.
Yeah.
It's being described as the all-in-one machine protection for your pinball transportation needs. And I guess that sums it up pretty nicely. Yeah.
It's a very high-quality protection. And, it's nice to see it making a return. And Barrels of Fun are leading the charge in selling that now. So good for them. There's a nice little sideline as well.
Right. So, and the Barrels of Fun also have a new distributor covering the United Arab Emirates. And the name of that distributor actually quite surprised me.
Me too.
Tilt Amusements, based in Dubai. And they apparently already sell Stern Pinball, Jersey Jack Pinball, Pedretti, and Pinball Brothers machines. I had no idea Stern or Trent made the jump to United Arab Emirates, but apparently he did.
Well, I tried looking up and see if there's any relationship between Tilt Amusements in Dubai and Tilt Amusements in the US. And I couldn't see any obvious link between the two. So I'm not. It may just be the same name. I wouldn't necessarily say that was one of Trent's businesses.
Okay,
It might be.
Is the logo the same?
No, I don't think so. No, and the fact that they sell all these other companies' products as well made me wonder, because I don't think Trent, Tilt Amusements in the US sell all those other companies' products.
Well, they do sell Stern, that's for sure.
They certainly sell Stern and lots of them, but not JJP or Pedretti or Pinball Brothers machines like the Dubai business does.
Right. Oh, well. It could have been, but apparently it's just a name. Still, okay. Interesting. And best of luck to Barrels of Fun with their new distributor over there. And hopefully it will sell a lot of games for them.
Yep. And so let's move on to our next company, which let's get a home pin based in Taiwan.
I was going to Turner first because we're still in Texas.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, we were in UAE, but okay. Let's go to Turner because obviously there's a lot of news from there.
Yeah, absolutely nothing.
Well, that was worth it. Yes, well done. Well, just one little bit of news.
Yeah. Kerry Hardy made a video about visiting the Turner facility about 2 months ago, which I'd say is recommended to check out. You get a look behind the scenes on the build of Ninja Eclipse. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Chris Turner is there to answer any questions Kerry may have had after his 6-hour drive. Poor guy.
It's a tough life.
That's basically all the news from Turner Pinball, actually from 2 months ago. But they're still cranking out these 100 Ninja Eclipse games, and hopefully we'll run into Chris at the Texas Pinball Festival in March.
Yeah, I don't know whether they if they plan to announce a second title anytime soon, but it would certainly be interesting. I mean, it was a good way to start the company by limiting it to 100 machines. Gave them a lot of valuable insights into how to make pinball at scale, and I dare say the next title will benefit from that enormously. But let's go back to where I was dragging us just now, which was over to Taiwan for home pin, because their current title, the Blues Brothers, that was available at the EAG Expo show, and was featured on the Retro Arcade Specialist stand.
Yes.
And I think it's fair to say it surprised quite a few people by being better than they expected, and certainly better than home pin's previous titles.
I bet it was a surprise it was there in the first place as well.
Well, I think it had been trailed. It was hoping to be there, but it only just arrived in time for the show. It was flown in by Retro Arcade Specialists, so well done to them for getting it there. Now, Homepin themselves have said that they are producing a second small run, in their words, of the Blues Brothers machines. We don't quite know what how small the small run is, but the previous picture suggested the first small run might have only been up to about 6 machines. But I guess they're making them as demand comes in. They are cutting their own playfields in their wood shop and then sending them off to be printed and clear coated.
Right.
But they certainly have the control over the cutting of the wood. And if you remember, it wasn't that long ago that they had that typhoon that blew through and destroyed their woodworking shop.
Right, yes.
So it's good to see that they're back cutting playfields again.
Yeah. Now, getting back to that Blues Brothers game on the show floor, did you play it?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
What did you think?
Well, I agree. It was certainly a lot better than I was probably better than I was expecting, given previous titles, including Spinal Tap and Thunderbirds, and it had some difficult shots, I thought, and you had to work for the multi-ball in that game. That was a bit
absolutely
a little contrast to Dungeons and Dragons. and made it all the more rewarding when you did get it.
Yes, absolutely. It was the game that kept pushing start over and over again. Once I figured out how to get the multi-ball, I was actually able to get, I think, both of the multi-balls in the game going. It was a very satisfying game to play, I have to say.
Yes, you have to bear in mind that this is the game that has the open source software on it that's still being developed. So it's up to the owners and the community to develop it further if they want to add more to what's already there. So it certainly has potential.
Oh, definitely. The only thing I would have wished for that game, if basically with the layout that it currently has, which is rather wide open, but there are several spots where you're basically where the ball is bouncing around and just hitting metal rails. It would have been, it would, in my opinion, have benefited the game if there would be a stand-up target there, so the ball doesn't bounce up to the metal rail, but to a target, because that gives programmers the option to do something with that.
Yes, good point. Yeah.
And I think there's 2 or 3 spots in that game that could have easily be covered by a target. So, other than that, I had surprisingly a lot of fun playing it. And like you said, it's not easy to get your multi-ball, but when you do, it really gives that satisfaction.
And you get to hear the music on that game as well, because it was cranked up reasonably loud. Yeah. So that was good. Okay, so that's, I think, all the news we have for Home Pin. And so I guess we should probably hop back to the US and Chicago Gaming, who are busy building Pulp Fiction machines. And at the beginning of this month, they announced that they had just made their 300th limited edition machine out of the limited run of 1,000. So on the basis of that, they said that they are projecting the remainder of the LE run will take them through to April. So after which, maybe they're going to start doing those Medieval Madness remakes, which they announced so long ago and haven't actually got around to making yet. But but for now, they're busy building limited edition Pulp Fiction machines.
Okay, cool. So then our favorite company in Canada, well, not really, but still, Pinball Adventures.
Yep, no news from them.
Well, that rounds it up very quickly. Okay, yep. Then back in Europe, we have Hexa Pinball in France. Apparently, the latest Hexa Pinball team member in the spotlight in their social media has been Sebastian Müller, who creates the rules and the light shows. You have to look up on Facebook, Hexa Pinball Facebook, and there's a link there, I believe.
Yeah, it's a bit weird because they've been doing this series of spotlighting various members of the development team. Well, in fact, all the members of the development team. And I went to their website to find these articles, and they're not linked as far as I can see anywhere. So the only way you can find them is to go through their Facebook page, and they don't publish a huge amount on Facebook, so it's fairly easy to find all the different team members, and you can see their background and what they've been doing in the game. So that's the way to go.
Okay, so well, thanks for that. Then we have Vector Pinball in Australia.
Well, last month we had some news from them about their Holden game, but no news, no development this month.
Okay. Haggis Pinball, also in Australia.
Yeah, well, don't really exist anymore. I could find no news about the liquidation of assets from them this month, so I haven't got anything to bring you at the moment.
Okay, well, that's fine. So then we have Bitronic in Spain.
Yeah, again, no news, which is odd because, we know they're building the Tokyo Perfect Drift game developed by Antonio at Quetzal. But they don't seem to be pushing that very much. Don't seem to be advertising it very widely or promoting it being out on location anywhere. So we don't know where all these games are going that they're building.
No.
Hopefully.
If anybody knows, Martin and I both have email addresses, editor at, and then our respective, websites, Pinball News or
if anybody wants to ship us a game, I'm sure we can provide an address to send it.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, then we have Wonderland Amusements.
Now, just to recap there, Wonderland Amusements is this new company who are also developing an Alice in Wonderland themed game. Theirs is called Alice Goes to Wonderland, and it's an 80% scale, 80% full-size pinball machine, and with the target to bring the game in for retail at under $1,000 when they actually get to launch it. So the news we have this month is that they have announced they're going to be doing a Kickstarter in order to promote and sell their game. And it's going to be launching in March. And in order to find full details of the Kickstarter, go to Kickstarter.com, search for Wonderland Amusements or Wonderland Pinball, and there you can find all the details about the game that are available at the moment. The Kickstarter hasn't launched yet, as I say. It will start in March, at which point the tiers that are available for bonus extras that can be done by paying more towards the Kickstarter will be announced. But at the moment, that's where you will find probably the most detailed information about the game. Even just today, there's an update there to the backglass artwork or translite artwork, which made a slight adjustment to some of the characters on it, very slight. I had to put them side by side to actually see the difference, but yeah, definitely they were listening to feedback from their first showing of the backglass artwork and made a couple of changes, so that's good. That's artwork from their game artist is Carlos Mendoza III, and the Wonderland Amusement team apparently went to Hong Kong where they saw prototype 2.0 of the game. That's where it's being built or will be built. It has a new playfield layout with Carlos's playfield artwork on it, which is the first time they had seen the actual playfield artwork on the new layout. Has the new backbox artwork and has a first version of the gameplay rules. And if you go to their Kickstarter page, as I just mentioned, you will be able to see a video that they made showing some basic gameplay. And that's also on Wonderland Amusements social media feeds if you follow them on Facebook or anywhere else. So exciting things happening with Wonderland Amusement, and next month should see the start of their Kickstarter.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that. Then we have a whole bunch of other companies that we have absolutely no news from. So we'll just quickly summarize them as no news from Cardona Pinball, Tilt Bob, STR Pinball in Spain, Quetzal Pinball, also in Spain, and, Circus Maximus. Yes, unfortunately, nothing going on there from any of those companies. Perhaps we'll have to go through and maybe thin out a couple of these because I don't think we've had any news from many of them for a couple of years. Right. So yeah. Oh well. Anyway, and then there is the other news section. Oh, so now we're getting serious. Yes. Well, start off. We mentioned before about the EAG Expo show in London, where you flew over, and I took the train in. So there, the pinball was consisted of Stern's 5 games on the Electrocoin stand, which we already mentioned. We also mentioned Retro Arcade Specialists, who had the Blues Brothers game there, but they also had a Labyrinth from Barrels of Fun, an ABBA machine from Pinball Brothers, as well as Hot Wheels and Houdini games from American Pinball.
those were the new games they had. They also had some used games. They had a Pulp Fiction from Chicago Gaming, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy and James Bond 007 from Stern. So a nice lineup of machines for people to play there. And finally, there was another machine. There was a Led Zeppelin game from Stern that was on a company called ASK, or ASK Global Solutions stand. It was being used to demonstrate how people can make credit card payments using this company's card reader and software, back-end software, using pay for the games with their regular credit card rather than using any of the sort of proprietary systems where you need to purchase credits or download a special app or any of that kind of stuff. So you could literally just go and put your Visa or your MasterCard straight on the card reader and pay for a game. And interestingly, there was a couple of these card readers on the Stern Pinball games that were on the Electrocoin stand. So... Yeah, so that may indicate that they're getting a bit more traction, or might in the UK at least, which is, to me, a good thing, because we don't like having obstacles put in our way when trying to buy a game of pinball. You just want to be able to walk up, tap your card or your phone or whatever on it, and buy credits and play. You don't have to download some specialist app which is only ever used for buying pinball games or credits.
Right. Right. So, and as you may have noticed, no Jersey Jack games on the EAG show. Neither was Jack Ranieri present, and that had everything to do with Pinball Heaven not having a stand this year due to a family expansion situation, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a good way of putting it. Yes. Yeah, we were expecting. A month ago, we were expecting Pinball Heaven to be there with Jack and some other games that they have, because they are distributors for other companies too. And you may remember last time we spoke to Jack, we said we'll see you in London in January. Well, unfortunately, it didn't come to pass. So Jack didn't come to London, and there were as you said, there were no Jersey Jack games represented at the show, which was a shame, when so many other companies were.
Right. So, I just figured I'd mention it. It's not always about what was there, but also about what wasn't.
Good point. Yeah. Right, so on to other news. Unfortunately, we've got some very bad news to impart, which relates to the death of famous voice actor in pinball, Fred Young, who's very prolific. He's credited for voice work in 27 pinball games for Data East, Sega, Alvin G, and Stern. He started in the industry in 1990 when he was actually a recording studio doing some advertising voiceovers, and left his demo tape there, and it was picked up by Joe Kamikow from Data East, and he was asked to come in and do some voices for various games. And his first recording session, he came in and did 4 games all in one session. That's back in the days when I guess the games were a lot simpler in software terms, and probably number of call-outs and assets. I was able to do them all in one go, and since then he's worked on loads and loads of different titles. Last game he worked on was, I think, The Walking Dead, 2015. Yes. But he's one of those people. He turned up at Pinball Expo. I can't remember when that was. Might even have been 2006. Well, that's the last time I think he spoke. 2006. He might have actually been at the industry at the one of the first shows, and he was often see him there. In fact, most years he would have been at Pinball Expo. Always so full of life, so keen to do voice, do imitations of characters, recall places, always full of jokes, a real larger-than-life character. And he did do a seminar at the 2024 Pinball Expo, which we have on audio on Pinball News. So you can listen to Fred there. And he was also inducted into the Pinball Expo Hall of Fame in the, last year as well. And that video of that is available on the Pinball News website as well, in the and on the YouTube channel. But there's an article anyway on Pinball News about Fred's passing, which links directly to all those, so you can read all about his history and be a real gap in Pinball Expo to go and not see Fred there this next time. So thanks for everything you did for us, Fred, and you're always a very talented and entertaining guy, and we will miss you.
Yes, we will. May he rest in peace. It was always, as I said on my Facebook page, it was always fun joking around with Fred. And I did frequently whenever I ran into him. Yeah,
he didn't have a chance really. he pounced, wasn't he?
Yeah,
good. So, but his work lives on and will for a long time.
Yes. Okay. Then we have trade tariffs on the U.S. imports from Canada, Mexico, and China. This is something you really sank your teeth into.
Well,
so please take it away.
It's a developing story as we're recording this, because just a couple of days ago, President Trump announced 25% tariffs on all products from Canada and Mexico, and 10% tariffs, additional 10% tariffs on products from China. But even as we were making the notes for this particular PINcast, news came through to say that the tariffs on Mexican goods had been delayed for 30 days following talks. And then literally as I was just sat down to record this, news came through that the 25% tariffs from Canada on Canadian goods has also been deferred for 30 days. So where that will go, I don't know. But, you can see the tactics at play here. You threaten all this stuff, and then you negotiated some kind of deal. We hope that this won't happen, but he's also threatened tariffs on European Union products too. And that might be a little bit harder to negotiate away, given the nature of the European Union being made up of so many different countries who all have to agree.
Right.
That. The upshot of all this, if it goes ahead, is it's going to be more expensive to buy pinball machines. It's going to be more expensive to make pinball machines. So if the Canadian ones went ahead, tariffs went ahead, then that would obviously impact companies like, if Pinball Adventures make any games and sell them to the US, then they'd be 25% more expensive. But there are other companies in Canada, like Classic Playfield Reproductions, up in Nova Scotia, making great playfields and plastics and back glasses. Their stuff, when they sell it in America, would suddenly go up 25% in price. And there's a company called Ascrim Studios who make those little electromechanical pinball clocks that use score reels. They're based in Canada as well, and they put a notice on their website saying that they would be subject to this. They'd have to raise their prices, but offering I think they're offering a 12% discount code as some kind of middle way, so the price would only go up half as much immediately. But anyway, that's gone away for the moment, but it's something that we have to keep an eye on. And of course, the China thing hasn't gone away, and yet, and there's a lot of stuff in pinball machines that comes from China. So that means that computing parts, power supplies, speakers, any parts, plastic parts, molds and things like that, and toys that come from China will now cost pinball manufacturers 10% more than they did before.
Right.
And as you will have heard in our talk with Stern, when we're talking to John Buscaglia and Gary Stern, we're talking about prices of pinball machines and the fact they haven't gone up for some time. And they think that they're wondering how long they'll be able to hold that for. Well, maybe this will be the thing that will force prices to go higher. We don't know. But yes, I say at the moment the EU is probably the next next market to be targeted, and there are obviously European manufacturers, Pedretti, Pinball Brothers, Dutch Pinball, all manufacturing in Europe, who sell most of their games to the US. So those, if they put 25% price increase on that, it's going to make them very uncompetitive. So, and that takes us back to what you were talking about earlier with Dutch Pinball exploring manufacturing, contract manufacturing within the US.
Right. Well, at this point, it would almost seem almost logical if European pinball manufacturers, saying, let's say, Dutch and Pinball Brothers / Pedretti and maybe Hexa and who else is interested in manufacturing pinball machines in the US, to combine forces and see what they can come up with altogether.
Yeah, it would make a lot more sense for Pedretti and Pinball Brothers, because they're already in a business relationship through the Euro Pinball Corp. So they have a common manufacturing hub in Italy. So they have experience of doing that. So maybe not so difficult for them to set up something in the US. If these tariffs turn out to be an ongoing thing. But even so, as you said, when you talk about Dutch and their next title, if they can save on the shipping costs of having to transport everything across the Atlantic and go through all the customs and inspections and payments that they have to do in order to bring stuff into the US, that would certainly be a big saving for them if they can ensure that the quality is there.
Right. So, we'll see how it goes. And you're right, this is a continuing story. It looks like basically every 30 days new negotiations are in order to avoid tariffs being applied. Yeah.
There's a lot changing. So all we can do is keep an eye on it, and hopefully, by the time we get to next month's PINcast, we'll have more news on what's happening. But right now, who knows what's going to happen?
Right. So, so then, oh my God, the Deep Root saga.
Yes, well, just saying, who knows what's going to happen? Yes. There's only a little bit of news in the ongoing story of Deeproot and the criminal and civil prosecutions against the former head of Deeproot, Robert Mueller. He apparently now has a new defense lawyer because he hasn't got any money and can't afford to buy one or pay for one himself. So one's been appointed to him, and so he's been granted additional time with his new lawyer to get across the case and potentially negotiate a plea deal in the criminal trial. So now it was going to be until January the 21st, but now it's been pushed back to April the 28th this year, 2025. We should remember, of course, that the financial penalties in the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC's) civil case, which have already been admitted to, but the levels of which haven't been set, that's also been put on hold now that this criminal prosecution has begun. So that hasn't gone anywhere either. So basically nothing is happening in any of this until May, really, now at least, or the end of April. Yeah, so we won't have to cover it next month.
Right. Okay. So, thanks for that summary. So then, we mentioned it already earlier in the show. The Pinball at the Beach show is the first edition. It's taking place February 7th to 9th at the Trade Winds Island Grand St. Pete Beach in Florida.
Yeah, very first one, run by Ed and Kim Van der Veen.
Who have plenty of experience organizing the Texas Pinball Festival. But as they move to Florida, they're now giving it a shot over there. And they did a very good job on getting pinball celebrities attending, or pinball industry celebrities or personalities. I think there's nobody left in Stern's creative department. Everybody is going to Florida for the next weekend, so it should be quite a party, I suppose.
Yeah, the weather should be nice. Forecast 22 centigrade to 23 centigrade in the day and 17 at night. So nice to be sitting outside. Both day and night, by the looks of it. So and no heavy rains or storms forecast.
Oh, no cyclones or
no tropical storms, nothing like that coming through. No.
Okay, so we have nice pinball events here in Europe as well, and there is one which I would like to mention now. I think it deserves a little attention, and that is the European Pinball Championship 2025.
Yes.
And that will take place in Austria, in the city of Wöcklabruck. You can mispronounce that in English if you wish.
Oh, I will.
So,
don't worry.
Main organizer is Stefan Riedler, who we know from RS Pinball, and who is a distributor for almost any brand in pinball. He's rented this ice hockey hall, the Riva Halle IJsport, in Wöcklabruck, and he's organizing this event with help from several pinball clubs from the Austrian area. And there is a website, but it's probably easy to Google. Just Google European Pinball Championship 2025, and it will probably take you there. Apparently, it's a very interesting tournament with a lot of Whopper points to be earned. Aside from that, there are also side tournaments announced, of which I think the most interesting one is a Jersey Jack Pinball tournament. Every Jersey Jack Pinball title ever made will be present, and the winner of the tournament wins a new Jersey Jack pinball machine.
Wow, that's a great prize. But the EPC this year is more than just tournaments. It's also going to be like an expo type event with seminars and vendors being there too. So there are quite a few people coming over, I think, for the event in the industry. I'm sure. Is Gary Stern coming over? I think he probably is.
Could be.
You think Jack would be coming over as well, wouldn't you?
Yes, I heard Dave Dennis is coming over from Barrels of Fun. Pedretti Pinball is coming over. Melvin from Dutch Pinball Exclusive is coming over. There will be a Bridal Pinball 2.0, a Lebowski, and an Alice's Adventures in Wonderland game. I believe also, in regards to Stern Pinball, every Spike 2 game with an LCD will be on the floor as well.
Wow. Okay, amazing. So, yes, if you haven't already checked it out, as you say, search out EPC 2025 Pinball, and you will get all the details. I think registration hasn't opened yet.
No, I think that will take place on February the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Okay. I think there's qualification for certain players from each country, but there's also public sort of open entries as well, which you'll be able to buy. So anybody can take part in any of these tournaments. So it's although there was one other tournament which I don't quite know what it is. It's called a company tournament, and I think it's for local businesses who are not really sort of pinball, but just want to have a bit of fun in a sort of head-to-head challenge against other local businesses. So that's quite fun. But it's going to be over multi-days. I think it's like from Wednesday through to Sunday. Right. So it's going right up to the wire on Sunday as well. I think the JJP one I don't think finishes till about 11 o'clock or midnight on Sunday.
Probably, I think they will change that later on the website. But there's quite a bit of info on the website, so do check that out. And of course, do support Stefan Riedler and his business. There's several hotels actually also to be found on the website of the EPC in the nearby area. You may need a car to get around, but you can get there by public transport as well. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a big event, so look forward to seeing that later in the year. I think that pretty much wraps it up for our pinball industry news so far. This look back at January 25, but we of course now take you to our special interview with the former executive vice president of American Pinball, that's David Fix, who we've spoken to many times in the past in his role as at the company. But this time we're talking to him when he is no longer at the company. So we have a lot of questions about what happened, why the company got into the condition that it is, the situation it is, what happened to David himself, and what the owner's plans are for the future of the company, and what else is going on there. So we'll hand it over to David.
Hey, Martin. Hello, Jonathan. How are you guys?
I'm
very
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we reported on your departure from the company, and in the statement you said that they hadn't, or your contract had not been renewed. This was the second contract that you had, because as I understand, your first contract was for 1 year and you had a 3-year extension to that. So after 4 years at the company, your contract was not renewed any further. So can you tell us then a little bit about how that came about? Was that something which was expected, shall we say? And what else was going on at the company that around the same time, which may have impacted on it did impact on the state of the business at the time. So first of all, let's was this something which was not expected, or was this something which you saw coming?
Did not see it coming. So, and it's kind of crazy to me. So we started out with the 3-year, and it was literally December, the Losers Kid podcast. As crazy as it sounds, at the end of the Losers Kid podcast, I was actually getting phone calls and text messages from Ryan McQuaid and a few other people over there who had just been laid off. At the time, at the finishing of the thing, and then I had to go downstairs from when I was doing the podcast at Aimtron and go into a corporate meeting with Mukesh and Nirmal, who have all of a sudden decided to change course, as it were, which surprised me because Game 7 that we had was nearing completion. I mean, it's in all intents purposes. We were waiting, right? We were waiting for ordering of parts, and they had stalled it a little bit, but we didn't know why. And then they just said, nope, we're no longer going to do any more R&D. We're just going to be a contract manufacturer, which surprised me a little bit. Seeing to be a contract manufacturer, you need the employees that you kind of just let go. So,
not only that, I think even if you're a contract manufacturer, with such projects, there's always things happening along the way that you need R&D to step in to make sure that you have a smooth production process.
Correct. Well, not only that, you think about it, you need a mechanical engineer, somebody who's going to check all the specs, check everything that's coming in. You have a quality engineer who does that. But you have people who look at materials, and also the team usually goes down and sits there and lives on the line and goes through the games, right? They live. So we were gearing ourselves up. End of September, beginning of October, we had all the major distributors in. They got to see it. Mr. Martin Abe of Pinball News got to play game 7 as well. And Martin unfortunately can't talk about it in any detail, but the only thing I will share with him is that I remember reminding Martin many times that he had an appointment, and he said, right, I got to get out of here. But he says, but one more game. He just kept, he was tied in really deep on the game and the rule set and what was going on and enjoying himself that he kept, can I play one more? Martin, you can play as much as you want. Just remember, you have a flight or something you have to get to today. And Martin's got his head.
Can I take you back a little bit on
Sure.
this? Because one of the things I think which is important to understand is something you mentioned just now when you started talking about this, was that you were told that people were being laid off at the company, key members, including Ryan. People assume that you were the one laying them off, whereas I don't think people understand exactly what the structure or the responsibilities are from what was your role and also what was being done to run the company by Mukesh and by Nirmal from Aimtron. So could you sort of break that down a little bit? So because people just assume that you were EVP, all the decisions were yours.
Yeah, no, I wish. Kind of. All right, I used this analogy before, and it's kind of an analogy that's an American analogy. It's called an absentee landlord. And an absentee landlord is a kind of a person who they own the building, they run the things, they're there, but they're not there, right? They're just, you're the tenant, you're doing your thing, you're trying to get permission from them all the time. And sometimes you do stuff and then they come in and we don't know if we like it this way. Let's see, and then maybe we'll change things. So what happened here was that Nirmal and Mukesh are basically running finance, and they're the upper management. They're above me. They're the bosses. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I report directly to Nirmal and to Mukesh. And for the most times, how it would work is if I said something and Nirmal said something, the two of us would propose it to Mukesh, and the two would kind of, 2 against 1 kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It would be a 3-way. But it's always a kind of a battle on a lot of stuff. Same thing with me. If I was talking to Mukesh about something, I had to convince Nirmal, that kind of thing. It sometimes would work that way. They basically came up to themselves, the two of them, saying, okay, we're going to try this a little different. Mukesh basically talked Nirmal into it in doing just contract manufacturing. So what happened was, yes, I'm kind of Ryan's boss, but there's a boss above me, and if they want to get rid of somebody, they can do that. It's like, sometimes, and then they call you in and go, by the way, we're making some changes. This is what's going to happen. So that happened on that day that we did the Loser Kid podcast in December. And then
that was right before Christmas, right?
Yeah. So Ryan, Benjamin, who was our project manager, and Zofia, who was our mechanical engineer, all three of them were laid off, as it were. And then, of course, I was like, well, what's the situation? Where are we going with this? And then, of course, I asked the question. I says, well, what's the long-term aspects with me and the rest of the team, right? And they said, well, we'll get back to you on that. And that was on Thursday. And then Friday, I kind of worked through the day. And, you're missing half your R&D staff. You're missing some of your people. And it's kind of like a gut punch. We worked through the day. And then I'm trying to remember what day that was. I don't think it was the 13th. But I remember on Friday the 13th, great day, right? Friday the 13th was when I got called in. And they said that your contract is finished as of now. We may want, we're talking and negotiating. We want to start negotiating for a new contract for you to do other things for us, not managing the pinball aspect and so forth. And there was another couple employees that were there at the company still. And I said, what is their long-term aspects? What's your plan for them? One of them, and I don't want to name him right off the bat, but the poor guy, he was moving to Atlanta. He was going to be buying a house and everything. And they really were about ready just to cut ties with this person right there and then before he bought a new house in Atlanta. His wife had gotten a great job, that kind of thing. And I really said, listen, let's not really do this to this person. Keep them on because he's going to be buying a house in about 3 days. He's closing on a house. You cut ties with him. Everything's going to fall through. It's not going to be good. And they agreed. They said, well, we'll keep him on. That's fine. We'll keep him on until, January or something. I said, okay. He's still there. So it's like, okay, January. He's still there. Huh?
He survived January then.
He survived January, yes. But it was the time that they had talked to me that they wanted to do something. But what really hurt us all is that on the Friday the 13th when they called me in, the entire Aimtron office was having their end of year holiday party, as it were, and he's handing out things to people, presents and bonuses, and meanwhile at Pinball he's handing out pink slips. So it was just kind of upsetting to a lot of people. We thought as a group, let's just regroup and let's just get through the holiday, that kind of thing. Even though we were sucker punched, as it were, let's just regroup, be professional about this, and let's see what they're going to offer, right? So they wanted to do some kind of a contract with Ryan. They kind of told me at the end we're going to talk to Ryan about a contract. So I said to Ryan, okay, but you need to work with them on that. Zofia, they wanted to talk to, Benjamin, they wanted to talk to, and I said, okay, everybody's on their own kind of thing, just like I'm on my own here. But as things have progressed since then, I don't know if the situation has gone any better. I know Zofia took another job. She's now working for another pinball manufacturer. So way to go, Zofia. That'll be disclosed at some other point in time. Jack Hager also is working at another pinball manufacturer. So there you go. So there's a lot of stuff. I also met and talked to Steve Bowden. Steve and I are still good friends. We live 10 minutes away. We do a lunch. And that's kind of the interesting thing is that the team together still is communicating and sitting down and talking. We can't go into details about what we're doing, but one of the things that Steve and I and Ryan kind of pushed for a little bit, and it's kind of exciting for us, in January a few years back, we lost a good friend by the name of Lyman Sheets. And Lyman did something in the industry that was never heard of. And so Steve, myself, I proposed to Steve and Ryan to do something during the month of January, and we did it. Okay, so I hosted here at my house. I have a Galactic Tank Force down in the basement. I hosted at the house, having Steve and Ryan to come over a couple days out of the week. I throw food in the oven or I make something up, and then we literally poured over the code on Galactic Tank Force. The reason we did this is because we knew quietly that Indisc wanted to use Galactic Tank Force in the tournament, and the code had never been finished and done correctly. So we spent a good period of time. Now, I have to remind myself that there was a very pivotal person also sitting in England by the name of Rob Cutter. Rob I met at the great Pinball UK show. And Rob and I sat and he talked, and I got him involved with Casey, and he had been doing a lot of testing with the code. So Rob Cutter, since August, when I was in London with you, Martin, at the show, had been working on new code, new versions of this game with Casey. Well, so Steve, myself, and Ryan, we started pouring over all the code as well. We started doing that in January, and then we're not getting paid by American whatsoever, but we are finishing the code because we love the game. And not only that, it kind of pays homage to a good friend like Lyman Sheets, which is interesting. Anybody who has a limited or signature edition of Galactic Tank Force, if you look on the side, there's homage to LFS on there. He's on all our games. So we snuck that in there a long time ago. I had Franchi put that in. But we wanted to finish the code, right? We wanted to get it to a point. And so great things at Indisc. The game ran beautifully. The code was on there. There's some tweaks that are being done. We also had, at that point in time, been working with Scorbit. Jay.
I'll ask you about that.
And Scorbit. And so the new version will have Scorbit on it with badges and a lot of things that were never flushed out now are flushed out. Okay. So we're very excited about the new code coming out shortly. Literally, probably, I don't know, week, 2 weeks. I think it's getting some more beta testing. Casey's been doing some stuff. Casey's also come over to the house, which also answers a question. A lot of people I know, it was all over Pinside and so forth, that David Fix doesn't own any American pinball games. I do. Most of them are in New York. The Galactic Tank Force is the only one here in the basement, and I brought that in just at the end of the year, right? I bought it in January, end of December, actually after the 13th. There's a whole story behind that, which I can't get into right now, but at some point I will disclose a little bit more about the way Aimtron does their financing, and, I had to take a game, which I wanted to take one anyway because I like Galactic Tank Force. I like all our games. I like Berries. I like Legends of Valhalla. I own a Legends of Valhalla. I own a Hot Wheels. They're out on location making money. So
okay, I've lots and lots of more questions.
Sure, go ahead. Sorry.
But one of the first ones, just carrying on from what you were talking about, how is that code that you and Ryan and Steve and Casey and Rob, I guess, have been working on? How is that going to be released? Is it an official American Pinball update that's going to come through Aimtron owned American Pinball?
Because Casey still works for American Pinball. He's still there. So we kind of, a programmer sits there in front of the game and he's doing a million things, right? And he's trying to do this. With us, it was like, okay, we'll put 3 of us in front of the game, and we can go through and find little things, like little bugs. Like the lights aren't turning this. This lock isn't working right. This was a code. This was a bug this way. The game's in multi-ball, and it goes into a different multi-ball, and it shoots out an extra ball when it's not supposed to. Little bugs like that. It takes time to flush that out, and it takes a lot of us sitting there playing the game and making sure that it's reacting correctly and writing down the bugs or grabbing the code real quick by throwing a thumb drive in there and giving it. So Casey's the one who still works for American. He'll be releasing that code through the official American Pinball channel, and everybody else will see that. So it will be available.
Right. Okay. Well, that was Game 5.
Yes.
So what about Game 7? As far as you know, what's going to happen with that game? Is it going to actually be launched, or is it now something which will never see the light of day?
Oh God, I pray we see the light of day on that. That is such a beautiful game. I have to say that in my, I've already told ownership of American Pinball, when the game comes out, I want my copy. I'll pay for it. That kind of thing. Probably should get one. Ryan, the same thing. Everybody on board who's played that game wants it. American Pinball, what I've heard is that they are still planning to release that game. When that is and when they do it, that's a different story. So, step back, Martin, I worked on a lot of projects at American Pinball, a lot of things to help the company out a lot. The Aura lighting in the back box, the universal back box kit, the Aura lighting universal kit for all games along the side rails. There was Galactic Tank Force Classic Edition, which I had just finished at the end of December. Just before I left, basically we removed some key points that were, let's say, very costly, but didn't interact with the ball. But following the correct procedure, and this is a key thing, I needed to have the Galactic Tank Force team, aka Paul Reno and Dennis Nordman, come in. So they were going to come in. I was going to have Paul come down in January to review the game. Right, they need to sign off that they're okay with the classic version of GTF. So that was in the works. Now, have they signed off on it? I have heard not yet. So there's a little controversy going on there between Paul Reno and Dennis and American Pinball, which I'm staying out of. But for the most part, I know that I had put together something that Paul had mentioned to me. We had many conversations about making a classic version of GTF a little bit more affordable. But there's been an announcement that there would be a small run of 100 of the classic edition, and what would be taken out of it, which I think also included taking out the swinging UFO target. Correct.
Which does impact on gameplay.
Right, but that was not in my version of the game. So the swinging target is in my classic version, which was agreed upon by Paul. But I don't know if, according to what I talked to Paul earlier this week about the classic version, he's like, they have not proposed anything. We have not signed anything about it yet, so we haven't seen it. And he wants to go down and see it, and he's got to sign off on it to make sure it's exactly right. But Paul and Dennis, both of them, are in the same court that swinging target needs to still be in the game, right? So that was in the game. It's a continuous virtual ball lock. All right, so the whole locking mechanism along the top was removed. The robot was removed, so he doesn't come up and down. Again, those pieces kind of not play a factor. The virtual ball lock is with the locking mechanism on top. When you put it in tournament play, which was at an Indisc, it never locked him up there, right? It just shot him straight down. So to have it where it just kicks it out into the pop bumpers, it kind of works. So there's a bunch of little things like that was taken into consideration while working on the classic version of that game. But according to what I've heard, nobody signed off on it yet. So I know they made the announcement, but I think they put the cart before the horse. And we'll see what happens. I mean, listen, I like Galactic Tank Force, and that new code that Casey and I were working on, or with the team, would work in the classic. Right, so it's a different way of things working on it. So,
right. So now I'm going to be the bad cop over here, and
sure.
Obviously, well, you get called in, and you just found out that some members of your team have already been laid off. I can imagine if you're being told like, this and this is going on, and we want to do things differently. That must be based on upper management not being happy with the results the company has brought them over the past couple of months, years, I don't know. Is there a point in time where you can say, like, okay, maybe we took a wrong direction with such and such game, or we should have taken a different direction on such and such project, and everything would have been steered in a different direction and we would be in a different position now? Okay.
It's a good question, Jonathan. You're not the bad cop, you're just the observer kind of thing. So was there a wrong direction? Well, here's the thing. when we came out of COVID, we were selling games. Okay, we were selling games, and we kept selling games. Unfortunately, you have games that hit the market. The market is on a bubble, and all the distributors are saying this, that we have the biggest bubble in the history, right? Stern isn't selling his games like they're supposed to be. JJP are having issues. Chicago Gaming was late with their, there's a lot going on in the industry, and there's a lot of games in that mix, right? And I'm just looking at this, and it's just, unfortunately, sales kind of took a back seat. Now, according to the numbers we were still well within the tolerance levels that we had been. Okay, so 2024 finished decent. Was it like 2023? No. 2023 we were in the black. 2024 we were in the red. But not even as bad as it was before I started working for the company. I can't go into great detail on that. But what has happened is that after 2023, Mukesh was like trying to figure a way, and in his mind, he wanted to sell the company. Right? But when you think about it, selling the company leads a lot of openings, right? And also the new board system. We had to bring a new board system on board, so we tried to get that done. That was, and understand that they did not calculate the cost on the new board system very well. They paid more than they were supposed to, but they got it done, right? So that was also not handled by me. That was handled by the team in India. So there's a lot of stuff that transpires, right? Now, I know people are going to say that barbecue was not the selling beast, right? We sold more barbecue than we did Hot Wheels the first year. So that'll give you a clue that barbecue did do numbers. Barbecue was going to be doing better numbers coming up in 2025 because it was also a white label game. And I can't go into details on that, but there was a lot of things.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
Yeah, there was a lot of positive things. I mean, you were talking about a couple hundred white label games that were coming out per title. So, that would have given us the numbers for the parts, right? And you're right, we did talk about that before. So, but that's just like kind of the craziness that we're going through, right? So I know you have other questions, so I'll let you guys. I want to also say one thing, that when I made the announcements, and thank you, Martin, for posting that, I want to say thank you to all the thousands of people give me well wishes, on Facebook or even private messaging, emails, phone calls. It's literally been like every day. This thing has been ringing off the hook of people going, "Hey, what happened? I hope you're doing good. We loved everything you did. Keep working, keep trying." And I have thousands from around the globe, right? I know there's a bunch of people out there who, vilify me and make me sound like I'm the death of American pinball, but I'm the one that gave it the most of its life over the last 4 years. And when they pulled the plug, I am just a guy who was spinning plates and trying to make sure everything got in the right order. And I think Lloyd from SNS Billiards said it the best. Lloyd's a great technician, great guy, great friend. He said that my job was basically getting everybody to row the boat in the same direction. I'm the cheerleader trying to get everybody rowing the boat. Not only that, getting people in the office to row the oars, right? So when I started there was, Mitesh and Josh Cooler. And then I brought in Sophia, Jack, Dennis, Ryan, Casey, Steve, Jessica, Bobby, bunch of people in the back, right? A lot of people we brought in this entire team, Benjamin. And then slowly, They just got rid of the entire team, back to almost the way it was when we left. And right now we have Casey Butler, who is the programmer, and Mitesh, and Jessica, who is doing art for American Pinball right now. So that's kind of that's the whole team. That's it over at American right now. It's kind of bleak. So
right. Well, one of the things which you mentioned at the time, and something I spoke to you about in the past as well, is whether the impact, or whether there would be an impact on American Pinball from the IPO of the the Indian branch of Aimtron, because American Pinball was included in the financials for that IPO, and also it changed fundamentally, it seemed to me, the structure of the company, in that when American Pinball was set up, it was kind of Duval's baby. He was sort of bankrolled by Mukesh.
Yep.
And then Duval kind of moved out of the picture, and it became more Mukesh and Nirmal who were running the show from the Aimtron side of things. Mm-hmm. And then the IPO happened, and that to me seemed like Mukesh didn't really have the time or the willingness to keep his eye on what was going on at American Pinball anymore, and sort of left that almost entirely over to Nirmal. And I suppose the sort of level of support for American Pinball seemed to take a bit of a dive at that point. Is that, I mean, this is from an outsider's point of view, and making a whole bunch of assumptions on what was going on with the in the back of the Aimtron minds. Are you able to comment on whether any of that is actually the way you felt it was happening?
Well, Martin, you hit the nail on the head. So let's and Jonathan, this kind of answers your other question. So there's a lot of moving gears, right? What led to the demise, right? Or not demise, but the changing of direction. So think about this. In June of 2024, Aimtron India went on the IPO of India. Before that, in 2023, I met with Mukesh at least once a month. Okay, in 2023, once a month or twice a month sometimes. Nirmal was literally next to me in an office the entire time. Okay, so the two of us were literally running American Pinball. Mukesh would go over to Aimtron and handle all that stuff, come back. We worked next door to each other, literally like Jonathan and you are right now. And that was a daily basis. And then Mukesh would come in and have that, once a week, every 2 weeks kind of meeting with the two of us. And that's what the core was from 21 through 23. It's 24, the IPO came about. Mukesh had to go to India to get the IPO finished, right? Help that, get it on the IPO. At which point, Nirmal was needed over at Aimtron corporate. So my neighbor, who I was working with on a daily basis, disappeared in the middle of probably around April, end of March and April. And I would see him once every 2-3 months. Mukesh, I saw in July. And then again, I saw him again at the end of September. And then I saw him one more time. No, I never saw him in November. Saw him in December. So the thing is with the IPO is that Aimtron is making a ton of money off of the IPO, right? It's on the stock exchange. It's got this big beast behind it, and it's requiring the most attention from Mukesh. So he is spending his time there, and he has to report to the stockholders and the rest of the board and everybody else. Meanwhile, Aimtron Corporate needed somebody at the helm, so Nirmal is now over there. So they were, I want to say that their idea of going to a contract manufacturing for just American pinball is so that they can literally have it like basically just sit there. When they need to focus their attention, they can put a little time in, get it to pump out whatever, have a skeleton crew pump out games, and then just continue to do it. And then if a new game comes along or some contract manufacturing job comes along, they can give it a little life and then go back, right? They basically cutting out the whole R&D. Because, and it's sad. I had many distributors. I had one distributor in person, a good friend, who is a great distributor. He came in and he sat, and he had been with us on all of Game 7, going through this. And I said, you need to talk to Mukesh. So finally I got him to go in to talk to Mukesh about Game 7. And he's like, man, this is it. You got it. And Mukesh, he says, did you see it? And Mukesh says, I haven't seen anything. I haven't played it. I don't know anything about Game 7. I don't have time. That kind of thing. He, and I think the distributor said it the best when we walked away. He says he's kind of done with this. He's checking out completely. Even though Game 7 is probably the one game that would save the company, actually wouldn't save the company, but put a big chunk of money back in the company because it's a license. And understand that when I started there, and I've said this before, that we were withheld getting a license right away. I had to sell so many Hot Wheels, and it took another year to even get close to that number of selling those Hot Wheels. So then they were allowed to get a license. Then we played the whole licensing game. What are we going to get? And then we lost the license that we were going to get to another manufacturer. And then we finally got a different license, and we got that in, and we were so excited. And Game 7, I have to say, is probably Ryan's game. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I told Ryan he's being spoiled to death because the interaction with a licensor had never been this great. The licensors are huge pinball fans, great people. I don't know many licensors that would literally have weekly, not once, but twice or 3 times a week meetings with the entire team. Since the beginning, flew out, played the prototypes, played all the games, and literally put this game together. And it's a great game. So, but I wanted you guys to ask some more questions. So go ahead, Mark.
Well, I have one for you,
or Jonathan. The bad cops.
Well, actually, this is a positive one. Sticking with the situation that America wants to be a contract manufacturer. What is keeping you from forming your own R&D department or company, whatever you want to call it, with Ryan and Steve and a couple of other people, and say like, hey, we got the licensor on board on this game. We want to finish it. You do that sort of in-house, and you come with something that American can contract manufacture. Is that an option?
Yes. That is an option. There's been many other little options that are available in that, and I can't go into detail, but that is an ongoing conversation amongst the entire team at American, or that was at American.
It doesn't seem that big a surprise, I suppose, in a way that they'd want, Aimtron would want to have American as a contract manufacturer, because that is pretty much what Aimtron does, isn't it? They do contract manufacture boards and electronic systems for other customers. But on that point, or on a related point, I suppose, do you think that Aimtron would be open to another company buying out or buying American Pinball from them and getting that completely off their books?
Yep.
And,
in fact,
and do you know if anyone's been in discussion with them about that?
Yes. but I can't go into detail.
Yes, you do know.
There have been other people who have been in conversations, and I think what the key thing, the downside, and I said this is the side that's really hurt, is that the team no longer works there. Having the team together, having the team employed, makes it much more than just parts sitting in a thing. It's kind of like you have, and I kind of try to share these things with Mukesh. This is you fired the entire kitchen staff, and all you got left is the ingredients. Okay, the cooks are the staff, right? They're the ones who know how to bring all this together in a flavorful thing that will sell. You get rid of the staff. Hello. How you just got parts? What, are you going to throw parts on a game? Oh, this is the greatest game ever. Here it is. It's a wooden box. It's got 2 flippers, and does it have anything else? No, it's a brick fest.
So they weren't trying to sell the company before they laid everybody off. Then
there was. I don't want to go into too much detail on this, but let's just say there was a price tag that was just unrealistic at that point in time. And now, with everybody gone, I think there may the price tag has come down, but still, it's a conversation that, like I said, is kind of interesting. That people are just, how is that going to work out? But like I said, I can't go into more detail on that. But it's just, again, where are we now? One of the biggest questions that I've gotten, and I'm going to answer a question before you guys even ask it, is if I buy an American pinball game, what's my support going to be like? Well, here's the thing. American Pinball uses a very specific manufacturer's part. And I can't go into detail who that was, but let's just say they're industry standards from the 1980s through the 90s until they closed in 2000s. So we use their parts. Okay, so you can take basically any of the parts that you may find at these manufacturers and throw them in an American Pinball game and get them up and running. Okay, the boards, all right, are very robust, and they're still supporting the code. So, and the computers are also stuff that we just did. Casey's already been working on the new code for the new computer, which is backwards compatible. They have it. The code will be on there, and people can start, getting the new computers if there's a problem with the computer. But most of the computers are still running without a problem. The biggest hiccup on most of the computers that I know that a lot of people have called and asked, they're trying to install the new version or something on an older Houdini, blah, 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 can't figure out why this is having a problem. The battery's dead. Change out the CMOS battery so that the code can update itself correctly. So the games were built to last, right? I still have Hot Wheels out on location. It's still making money. I still have Legends of Valhalla out on location. I have Galactic in my. I took a Galactic, right, and cashed in on something that they owed me. So Galactic's sitting in the basement here. I love the game. I've been a great player. I'm more upset about Game 7 because I don't want to see it go that way, but it could be a big bang bar. Yeah, It could have maybe just a few copies that ever were made. Highly collectible. Absolutely fun game. And who knows? Maybe.
But in that regard, American, of course, facilitated Ryan designing the game and so on. And I suppose the IP must be with American in this case. But there's a licensor that wants that game out. If an American doesn't want to build it, would you be able to, or would someone be able to shop it around and see if another pinball manufacturer might be interested?
Oh, absolutely. But American has a time frame that they have to do it. They have the license. They're dealing with the licensor, and right now they're saying that they're going to build the game. So, hey, I hope so. I want to see it done. It's a great game.
Okay, but so that then raises the other question. Right now, this is a minimalistic company, so to speak, in terms of employees. Even if they build the game, how are they going to promote it? And if you don't have anybody to do that and get games out?
Jonathan, these are questions I've asked them. They were like, well, we'll just do it. I'm like, how? Not only that, how are you going to build it? I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail on this. I got to be careful what I got to say. But yes, all those are very direct and questions that have been raised to them. And they need to answer those questions before they announce and release the game. And also, remember, you pointed out, it's a licensor, right? So the licensor has been in bed with us the entire time. They have seen the game. They know what we have together. They know they're ready to say, yes, this is the game we want out, but they got to sign off on it. And American has to get to the finish line and say, okay, this is the game. You guys sign off on it, And the licensor is willing to probably fly in to see the golden sample, work with everybody, and start some sort of marketing campaign. And I think that's what they were I think Mukesh and Nirmal were basically saying is that when they're ready, they're going to spin it up, right? They're going to probably bring in a couple people who, podcasters and, raise the little flags and go, hey, it's done, it's here, it's amazing. I hope sooner than later because, and to be the game that we left it with, right? I hate to see the cost monster come in and chop out stuff, but the licensor has to agree that they want that out. So it's kind of it's an interesting thing. To that point, let me just step back for Martin to understand something, because he raised the question about for sale. Licenses are only owned by the company while they're there. Okay, if they sell it, any of the licenses that American had have to be relicensed again in order to put the company together. So you got to go through that. You even though they buy the company, let's say somebody buys American, Game 7 is a licensed company. They have to go to the licensor, get a new license in order to release the game.
So the license is with American. It's not with Aimtron.
Correct.
Is that right?
Well, yeah, it's with American, but under Aimtron finances, because Aimtron was running the finances, and that is all part of the contract that has to go across. And if it's sold, just like when Deeproot was sold, right? All those licenses were up in the air again. Okay, they had to go get, you had to go get that license again. That's why there's a bunch of games that switched from where Deeproot had and now are with different companies. And, it's because they had to get the licenses again. They're only entitled to the owner and the finances that were proposed at the time. I mean, there's a whole bunch of more stuff that you can go deep in on that, but I already see Martin's eyes glazing over. No,
I'm just thinking that we've talked about quite a lot about Game 5 and about Game 7. What else was in the pipeline? What other little projects were coming up at American? Because we've seen quite a lot of things that you were, as a team, had been working on, which haven't seen the light of day yet. And we're wondering whether they ever will. Was anything sort of poised to be released when basically the shutters came down and there was no more development and no more production going on?
But so what I was told was the production shutters are still open. Whatever is getting cranked out is getting cranked out. Okay. The new development shutter is, like the classic that was done by me before I left, and a few other things that were done by some other teams. But you are absolutely correct. There was a pipeline. a huge pipeline. There were white label games. There were projects. There was Game 8. There was Game 9. There was even a Game 10 already talking over with licenses. All of those have literally been chopped off, as it were, kind of sitting in limbo.
Okay, I mean, I wasn't necessarily thinking about full games. I was thinking about little side projects, because we've seen add-ons to games which could have come to market.
Yes.
Fairly simply, you would have thought, but it was about the timing and the manufacturing capability of those.
Absolutely. There was a thing for Game 3, and you know what I'm talking. And there was a game for Game 1.
Yes, too. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a project for Game 1. That one I worked on a lot, but then I had to leave it to the coders, which when you have a small coding team, it's tough to have the people spending time on that and then this. So Game 1's small project got put on hold. It may come out. Now listen, guys, I mean, the reason I'm staying a little vague on this is because it can still come out, which you and I both know that if Game 1's company mod or a factory mod came out, which was backwards compatible, which was amazing, it would change the entire gameplay of Game 1, right? It would make Game 1 very interesting to all the players, right? Then Game 3 was what everybody had been screaming about. That was going to come out in another version of that game, but also, again, backwards compatible. We also talk about toppers, right? There were toppers developed for Game 3. There were toppers in the works for Game 7, Game 6, right? So all those were in work, negotiations, and I mean, I'm talking about some gorgeous toppers, right? I'm talking about a topper that was more interactive than anything that you've ever seen before. And I was excited about it because this is something that I brought from ICE. Because I've seen toppers at ICE and I've seen toppers from other companies, and I'm not talking about just having, a static thing and a flashy light. I'm talking about something that's going to tell the world what's going on in the game on the topper. And very casino-like, very kind of attention in the arcade. That was all in development. Small team, right? In fact, the back box Aura lighting kit, the universal kit, was something that we were working on, right? Because we kept saying this was a problem. I proposed the numbers to Normal. Normal saw it, said, go for it. And we did. Wasn't that hard to build that. But, again, right now, where is it with the marketing and so forth? Game 1. I'm trying to remember if there was something for Game 2. Can't remember if there was. I know Josh Kugler built a factory mod for Game 2, and it was great. Loved it. Supported it. Everybody could do it. It was the little auto eating and drinking beer and eating a pretzel. That was a cute little, great little add-on for Oktoberfest from Josh.
Okay. So this is great talking about things that could have been, but what about things that still could be? I mean, what's in the future for David Fix himself?
Good question. So in a week's time, I will have just finished my 60 days. I have another 30 days on my non-compete, which is a 90-day. And then David Fix can go just about anywhere, right? Resumes may go out, and I'll knock on the doors, and we'll find out, right? There's been, it's not like I haven't had discussions with many of the other manufacturers, but right now I'm just kind of leaving it open. And I'm also talking to somebody who was kind of interested in buying American Pinball at one point. Right? So that's still in the air. It's like I feel like I'm juggling. Right now, David is enjoying spending some time with the team, playing the game downstairs, the Galactic Tank Force, and going through the code. One other thing that that was very good, we're very excited about, and we're just finishing up some stuff on that, was something that I worked on while here at the house. And we'll go into a little bit more detail soon. So we got some of it working. But in disc, this is a key point. In disc, American Pinball had a problem for the longest times where the flippers would get weak over so many hours of play. And I knew this after I left them. This had been an ongoing discussion. A literally discussion that Steve Ballard and myself had been beating on since the Beast in Buffalo, because Steve and I went over to the Beast in Buffalo, and we had berries there, we had other games, and we had seen this flipper issue with the coils. And Steve and I had been talking about this. Casey got involved. We brought in a bunch of other people. I have literally beat on people through the industry, trying to pick brains and so forth, and then literally sitting down trying to figure out the best course. Well, I'm happy to say that we got an answer, and it worked really, really good in disc. The coil, and we'll be releasing that a little bit later about how to have a very strong coil. Now, granted, we had fans on the games at the Beast. There were also fans on the game in disc, but the difference was there's a different coil, a different flipper coil, a different way that we put it together, which we're at in disc, and we will give everybody that information at some point, which I was pouring through a ton of data. I mean, it's almost a show in itself of what I tore through, because you gotta remember, guys, I got pinballs downstairs. I've been doing this for many years, operating, playing with games, and understanding the fundamentals of how boards work and different systems, right? So you have companies like Stern who've been doing their flipper control since Data East days, okay, with the one wound coil, and Martin knows what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And they've perfected that over the last 30, 40 years, right, to a 2-wound coil with microseconds pulsating and what they can do to keep the coils running and keeping them cool. We took a coil from a manufacturer, and we kind of put it with a board system that wasn't designed for that coil, and we tried to put it together, and unfortunately we found some errors, right? So that's we'll be putting together a little spreadsheet, and I will definitely give Martin all the information on that at some point, and it'll be through Pinball News and probably on American Pinball's thing. You guys got to understand something. The team in American Pinball was always passionate about the company. I haven't taken a paycheck from American Pinball since December 13th. But yet I'm still passionate about what we worked on and wanted to make sure that people are excited and happy to have the product that we put out. And we were very passionate about that. So it's just one of those things that we kind of stay behind our stuff and work through some stuff. And it's actually been great for me to work through this coil issue, because I actually had time to focus, right? I spent 2.5 days, and then I called Jim Belcito up and said, Jim, I'm going to send you this documentation. It's very, very rough. Do this, this, and this. Here's what you need to follow. Do this and put it in there, and you should be fine. And he did. And the coils ran beautifully through in-disc. So we were excited about that.
Right. I'll probably just ask you one further question then, if that's okay. Sure. And it's a hugely hypothetical one, so let's have a bit of fun with it. Can you see yourself ever back at American Pinball?
So the entire team and I have come to the same conclusion that, yes, we could see ourselves all back at American Pinball, only under new ownership.
Mm.
So the idea of, Mukesh and Nirmal owning the company and we working for them would probably be a no.
So need to be
maybe contract work, maybe some contract work, possibly, but come on, we got to be realistic here. We all live a life. We've been doing a lot of stuff here. I mean, it galls me that Mukesh would say, "Oh, you're my friend, and this is what we do, and you're my friend and your buddy and so forth." But what he did to me and did to the team at American, a friend doesn't do that. And most of the team are all on board with me on that, saying that they love what they did. They love working with me. I love working with them. I've said it many times. I'd go into battle with these people. The problem is the ownership was not having our back, nor did they actually pay attention enough, and handcuffed me where they could, and really caused some problems. And I mean, I know that there's a lot of people out there who have heard stories about the finance department, right? I had no control over the finance department. I had no control over it. I literally went to battle. And that's not my job, right? My job wasn't to go and sit in the finance department and yell and scream and say, "Why are you not paying these people?" That's not my job. My job is, okay, here's what we're doing. You budget this. This is what you agreed upon. This is what we need to pay the people, right? Why am I here having this, 20, 30, 45-minute conversation on people that I know in the industry, friends that I know, and I'm battling them to do what they've agreed to do. And unfortunately, that's just I don't know if it's a cultural thing or a mentality. It just upsets us in depth. However, I've been enjoying the last couple of weeks, just working on the projects with the team. So. Jonathan, any last questions?
Well, it's a sort of a tricky one to ask, but hearing you talk about the financial department restricting you or restricting the people working there. Earlier, you mentioned that at the date when people were laid off. Other people in Aimtron got bonuses for results achieved. Should you be raising the question, or should we be raising the question, okay, what should have been done differently, or how should the results have been different in order to get a green flag and do whatever you want as long as you're selling games? Because with all the projects going on and everything's fine and, it could have been this, it could have been that, but somewhere along the way, something happened and the results were not what people were, apparently in financial departments, were expecting.
You could say that. So here's the other thing. Having a full-time financial person, a CFO, full-time, is what was the biggest hiccup in this entire thing. Having a financial team is probably the biggest hiccup in this whole thing. Listen, at ICE, at other companies that I've worked with, there are people who sit there and look at the numbers and go, yes, okay, this is what we have coming in, this is what's going out, this is what we receive. They give you reports. They give you information. They tell you things. You literally give them, okay, here's the sales report for this week. We have 30 games that were sold this week, 20 from the week before, 10 the week before that, right? And then 30 the week before that. And there's a container getting ready to be shipped out. We're going to be shipping a container out, and we're going to be selling this. People say that, American didn't sell any games in June, July, August. We sold games. They were very low numbers. They were not zeros. Okay, there were containers that left. But a finance team is somebody who sits there and says, listen, this is what you have, this is what we budget, this is what we do. The team that I had, the finance team, were always like, you give the money, they just put it in there, just spend it. Did they spend it in the right spot? Did they allocate it right? Did they put it to where it was supposed to be? I can't answer that. But I will tell you right now, looking at the numbers, or if I got to look at the numbers, I would say they didn't. They did not budget. They did not do the finance. They had one person who kind of was like, I have money, I pay. What do we got left? I don't know. I just paid off stuff. So, I mean, going forward, accountability on the finance. I mean, in 2023, January of 2023, I had a 2.5-hour argument with Mukesh saying that I need a CFO and a finance team to literally live and be part of American Pinball. Not only that, I need somebody who's doing the payroll and all the rest of the stuff so that we know where we sit. Don't come to me 6 months or a year later going, you got us all this money, but we spent all this money this way, and we don't know what we did with it all. A finance team is CFO is somebody who sits there and has meetings with everybody and knows and keeps track and understands where we are. Not going in blind and going, oh, by the way, we just paid this. And I'm like, is that really my bill? It's not. But you're paying, okay, whatever. So there's a lot there, and I can't go into more detail than that, and I probably said too much as it is.
Well, we thank you for your insights.
Indeed, yes. And,
going out and building pinball machines is easy. Anybody can do it. Ask anybody.
I was going to ask you if you had any closing thoughts, and I think that probably is it?
No, it's not easy. Trust me, it takes a lot. They had a good idea how to build machines when I walked in the door back in 2020, December of 2020. 2021 was a telling year where we changed an awful lot. 2022, we changed an awful lot again. And brought in the team that needed people. Also, to structure it correctly. I said this to the rest of the team. I wish I had the structure that a lot of other manufacturers had, because it's a walk in the park. It was a walk in the park for ICE. It was a walk in the park for a lot of other people. But the problem is that you have to have it structured where you have budgets. You have things set out. You know what you're going to do, and it's not this, fly by night kind of thing. It's done completely different, and that's why in 2020, January of 2023, I had that argument. And not only that, having a purchase department that's in the United States. I mean, granted, yes, it's great you have a purchasing department in India. But when they need to talk to somebody in the United States and they don't speak English, why am I jumping on the phone trying to explain to the Indian department what the English person is trying to say to them about getting parts up? And then, okay, we're going to bring somebody else that speaks Indian here to do that. Again, I know globalization, but guys, the right structure for the company is what would make this company great. And we didn't have this in 2023, the structure that I had started building. We were doing very good in 22. 23, we did, 21, we did great. 22, we did even better, right? Built up this structure in 23, we lost some key people, and Mukesh was like, no, we're going to switch some stuff around. Okay, and when we switched that around, unfortunately, it wasn't the right structure. And unfortunately, I was dealing with a house cards with my arm tied behind my back, going, no, you need to use this. And I'm like, well, I'm glad it's only costing you X, but Why are we doing it this way? So there's a lot going on.
One really final question then from me. If American Pinball becomes a contract manufacturer,
yes.
Do you think there is the business out there for them to make a success of it?
If they had the personnel, yes. But they need the personnel.
To build somebody else's game.
The personnel that they needed was the personnel they don't longer have. I mean, you got to remember. Let's just use a hypothetical, Jonathan. Your favorite guy is over in the Netherlands, right? They want to build a game in the United States. Yes, they know how to build games in the U.S., right? Do you have an engineer at American Pinball right now that can take and source all the parts stateside, source everything that's going to put together, source it all together, and build it to your specifications? And remember, we're talking about a pinball machine, right? We're talking about quite a few thousand pieces of products, interactions, wiring, lighting, power, everything. That's done by the R&D department. So yes, they could follow what was set, but what if something comes up? What if something comes up, right? Who's going to sign off on that? The guys over in the Netherlands, they're going to have to send somebody over here and physically go through every game and sign off that these are correctly made. So think about that cost. Yes, you're getting it made in the United States. But you also got to spend time for somebody to come over here and babysit them and make sure that everything that they build is to your specs. Because when it's put in the box and shipped out, what are you going to end up with? Magic Girl?
Right.
So that's telling right there, right? So you need to have the personnel, the people who are sitting there who know how to build the games, the engineers that know what they're talking about and can interact with the team wherever they are building the games. And I know that, a bunch of people are going to say, hey, they have teams. Yeah, they have teams sitting in India that are going to interact with you in the Netherlands to tell what's being done in the United States. Yeah, we're globalized. You're going to tell me something's not getting lost in translation? It'd be a headache.
Okay, so let me rephrase Martin's question a little bit.
Sure.
American Pinball, or Aimtron to be exact, is theoretically looking to sell American Pinball, but without any staff, it will reduce the price tremendously. I mean, basically, it's just a bunch of manufacturing equipment and some parts in stock. Nothing
and some
more.
IP.
Right.
Well,
So
their own IP, right? So Houdini, Oktoberfest, berries.
right. So in theory, okay, you're no longer there, Ryan's no longer there, Steve's no longer there, and Sophia's no longer there, Jack's no longer there.
Benjamin,
But-
a bunch of people. Yes,
Right,
people.
right. Okay. So, but in theory, okay, if you could persuade an investor for you to put your team together, if he wants to be in pinball and give you free reign to continue what American Pinball doesn't support no more, so to speak, you could be back in business.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't want free reign. I would want that person to be part of the team. I would want them to be part and parcel, that they understand what we're doing. I'm not looking for a blank check. Never have been. In fact, I never wanted a blank check from Mukesh, and I never wanted one from Nirmal. In fact, I ran everything by them. And whatever we got done, they okayed. Okay? What they didn't okay sat there, right? like Martin would say, like the one project that we were doing for the very first game, right? That one's still sitting there. The one for the third game, it kind of sitting there. They love the idea. They wanted to do it. They wanted to spin it one more time, but it got held. Okay, so they didn't want to do that. We're in an industry right now where things are changing. You got to adapt. And I think that I didn't want a blank check then. I don't want a blank check now. Anybody who wants to buy it, the clock is ticking. So if you want to buy American Pinball, reach out to Aimtron, talk to them. You can hire Ryan. You can hire Steve. You can hire a lot of these people who are already still are there in the background waiting for their 90-day kind of thing to end, right? Once it ends, you got it's like a clock. He started the clock on a timer, and when the clock rings, okay, time is over. And the likelihood of getting the team together to finish or to do the next thing or whatever the other stuff was in the pipeline, it's started. So if you want to do it, I mean, it's not like you can go and say, I'm going to buy American a year from now. Great. I don't know. I mean, who knows? Dave Fix is at this company. Ryan's at that company. Steve's at this company. They're all over at this company. They've been there for a year. What are you buying? Buying parts. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, if you would, some investor want to buy American Pinball, start talking to people, I would say, because like in a year time, everybody will be working somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, since December 13th, I have been.
Okay.
I've talked to a lot. But I can't go into details on that because there's a lot of NDAs on that stuff. But at this point in time, American Pinball is not sold.
Right.
Okay. Well, we look forward to talking to you in probably, I don't know, a month or two when that clock of the 90 days has run out, and you'll be able to tell us a little bit more about what your plans are, and maybe a little bit more about what has been going on, what happened in the last few days or last few weeks of American Pinball. But for now, thank you very much indeed, David Fix. We wish you the best, and we look forward to seeing what's in your future and in the future of American Pinball and all the very talented people who were working there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Jonathan. Hey, guys, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you at the next shows. And we'll
hopefully
definitely be talking.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you, David.
Bye.
Well, thank you very much, David Fix, former vice president of American Pinball. Best of luck in your future endeavors. I have a feeling we'll be talking to him shortly again.
Yes, I'm sure we'll be catching up and finding out what's going on. That story will go run and run, as they say. So anyway, we won't, because I think we've wrapped up all our PINcast for January 2025.
Right.
So we'll be back at the start of March with our next PINcast, looking back at all the amazing events in the pinball world throughout this exciting month of February.
Right.
So until then, from me, Martin Ebb of Pinball News.
And me, my name is Jonathan Houston. I'm the editor of Pinball Magazine. We hope you have a fantastic February.
Yeah.
And we look forward to joining you again next month for the next edition of the Pinball Industry News PINcast, the PINcast the industry listens to.
They do, and appears on. So until the next one, bye for now.
Bye.